Logan, you ready?
Recording in progress.
Great. I'd like to call the Select Board meeting for February 2nd, 2026 of the Town of Essex Select Board to order. Starting off with, I'm filling in as chair tonight because Kendall is remote. We wish him nothing but the best of health and appreciate him protecting us. And I'm glad to fill in this role tonight. Are there any changes to the agenda from staff?
No changes from staff. There are a few materials in front of you that are tied to 6D. Consider approval of town meeting outreach materials. Just some potential changes for us to talk about, or edits to talk about when we get to that point. But otherwise, no changes to the agenda.
Thank you. Any changes from the board?
Nope.
Kendall, seeing as you're online and we know the rules with online behavior that you'll have to be called upon and then unmuted, please raise your hand or let the staff know that you need to be called upon if you want to participate. With no further changes, we'll move on to public be heard. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come forth and speak about things that are not on the agenda or in the consent items. Please, everyone in the room, mute your cell phones. 1 second, let me pull up my reminders. Silence your cell phones and those online. Your microphones will be muted and by default until recognized by the chair. This is a result of some bad actors in prior meetings in an attempt to make sure that this meeting is run smoothly. For public to be heard, please be civil. Please be brief. As a general rule, any comments longer than a few minutes may represent that a further conversation is needed, either by email, meetings, or being further added to a further agenda in the future. So please keep this in mind when you have the floor. Reminder to keep your cell phone silenced, refrain from any side conversations, be respectful to staff and those speaking. And I will first start with anyone in the room for public comment, then move online and call. Please raise your hand so the staff knows if you're online that you would like to speak. Are there any members of the public in the room that would like to speak during public to be heard? Not seeing any. Anybody online? Great. Okay. We will move on to the consent items. Andy,
I move approval of the consent agenda.
is there a second?
Second.
Great. All those in favor of approving the consent items?
Aye.
Aye. Kendall?
I'll unmute him.
Oh, wait.
Okay. Kendall, do you approve the consent agenda?
Yes. Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Moving on to business item 1, a potentially vicious dog hearing. I'm going to open the hearing by reading the warning and notice of the hearing. On January 26, 2026, Joseph Haddock submitted a written request to the Town of Essex Select Board requesting a hearing regarding a dog bite incident that occurred on January 16, 2026 on Brigham Hill Road. Mr. Haddock reported that he was bitten by a dog while delivering Meals on Wheels on private property located on Brigham Hill Road. He's requesting assistance and states that due to the extent of his injuries, he believes the dog poses a risk to public safety. Per section 4.04.060 of the town ordinances, because the dog bite incident happened on the property where the dog lives, it is considered a potentially vicious dog. A hearing is held in the same manner as for vicious dogs, as described in section 4.04.050 of the town ordinances, with the exception that if the legislative body determines that the behavior classifies the dog as potentially vicious, the legislative body may order any protective measures be taken absent the dog being humanely destroyed. This hearing is now open. I would ask that the victim, the dog or domestic pet owner and keeper, and all others providing evidence tonight step forward to take an oath. I just come up to the mics here, please. Yes. First off, thank you for joining us tonight under these circumstances. I will read the oath, and if you could just say that you will. If you will comply, we will begin the hearing. Under the pains and penalties of perjury, do you solemnly swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I will.
Thank you.
There's one participant online as well.
And the participant online?
I do.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the four people that will be speaking tonight about the proceedings? Anything? Okay. Are there any conflicts of interest that we should be aware of? I see none in the room. Online, are there any conflicts of interest? I'm not hearing any. Any additional information to submit to this select board tonight?
Pardon me?
This is where you don't want to tell them what happened.
Oh, okay.
We'll move on. This
Not
is
yet.
Joseph will be up first. Not hearing any additional information we submitted. Those that are not speaking, please sit or mute your microphone. We will start with the victim to present their oral testimony to the select board.
Can I just,
can have a
before Mr. Haddock goes, from the police, did you want to mention the other incident yet?
Yeah,
If you could come to the microphone and state your name for the record, and then
Lieutenant Paul Coutois from the Essex Police Department. There was reported that there was actually an additional bite that occurred over the weekend
Because you speak into the mic.
on January 30th at the resident on Brigham Hill Road. It was reported to the Essex Police Department by the medical center. It wasn't reported actually by the victims themselves. Once we get those facts, we actually investigate them, and we have started an investigation at this time. I know the owner of the dog was involved, was bitten, and a healthcare provider that was at the residence was bitten. There'll be further information to follow from here. We'll be filing an additional request for another hearing as of probably tomorrow during the day to give the additional information about what occurred at that residence.
thank you for that information. Sure. Mr. Haddock, could we invite you up to hear your oral testimony? Yes, please. Grab a seat, say your name for the record, and the floor is yours.
My name is Joe Haddock. I live at 69 Sawmill Road, which is in Essex, but we get our mail through the Jericho Post Office. I've lived there 50 years this coming June. I don't know how much detail you want, so I know you like things brief, so anyway, I deliver Meals on Wheels every Friday morning, and my route is called Outside Essex. It's the perimeter of Essex, and this was the initial delivery on a Friday for two residents at 179 Brigham Hill Road. I pulled up into the driveway, got out of my car, and started walking across the lawn. And probably, I don't know, probably about halfway to the porch, the door opened. I will say it was such a anxiety-provoking time. I may not get the chronology right, but a big black dog came off the porch, I think came out of a storm door, but I'm not sure. And there was a woman near him or with him as well. I carry my Meals on Wheels in one of those grocery bags because there were two of them. And as I approached the porch, the dog came rushing toward me, and it was a big black dog. That's all I can tell you for sure. I tried to fend him off. It was clear he was not happy with me. And I tried to fend him off with the grocery bag full of the Meals on Wheels, hoping he would like those or take those. But he went right through that and grabbed me by the right forearm. We went down on the ground in the snow. As I tried to get up, he got the back of my left thigh. Luckily, I had on those thick Carhartt jeans, so it wasn't much there. And then as I tried to pull away, he ended up biting my left upper arm, my left forearm, and then got a hold of my hand, and I pulled my hand out, and that did a lot of damage. I finally got away, but I will say the woman that lived there, I don't know who she was. I never met any of them before, but she said, "You better get the hell out of here." And she was right, and she was she was on top of the dog was on top of me, and she was holding on to the dog's collar or something, restraining the dog to some degree. And I'll say, I'm not sure I'd have got away without her there, but maybe I would have. But so then I finally got up, I grabbed onto a tree and got into my car. How much more do you want? So I backed out. I tried to drive to the emergency room. I couldn't hold on the steering wheel very well because my fingers didn't flex because all the muscles in both forearms had been bitten and chewed. I got very lightheaded, so I called the Essex Rescue, and they were there quickly, took good care of me, got me stabilized, sent me to the emergency room. I spent the day in the emergency room. Took quite a while, first of all, to get rid of the pain. Secondly, to clean all the wounds. I had x-rays of everything. And then, not funny, but the fellow says, we'll have to set aside time, we won't be interrupted. So it took them 3.5 hours to clean all the wounds, irrigate them because they were quite deep. And then they could sew up 2 or 3 areas, but most of it they couldn't sew up because it was just muscle and raw. Part of the muscle had been taken out. And I was placed on antibiotics and home to the care of my wife, a retired nurse, and my son's a doc. And they've been doing dressing changes, and I've improved since then, 2.5 weeks ago. I don't know what else.
I appreciate that testimony, and thank you for sharing that with us. If you could stay there.
Oh, yeah.
I invite the select board members to ask any questions. Ethan.
Joe, I'm sorry to hear what happened. My question for you, you touched on it a moment there, but if you believe there wasn't any other person there to intervene, did you have any fear for your life?
I have to admit, I was quite frightened, and I've been around animals all my life, growing up on a farm, and I was quite frightened. I don't know if I'd have gotten away. I don't know that I feared for my life at that minute. I just knew I had to get away. And I don't know what would have happened if she hadn't have been able to hang on to him also, because he had a hold of me.
Thank you.
Kendall, I see your hand is up.
Yes, sorry to hear. Very, very not good. I have 2 questions actually. The first question is, did the dog make any noise when it first attacked you?
I have no idea. I have to be honest. It was frightening, and I was trying to get out of there. I was just backing off as soon as he came at me, so I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay. My second question would be, unfortunately, did the dog just kind of leave you once she pulled it away, or did it continued to try to get to you?
I can't really answer that. I got away finally. She had a hold of the collar, I think. I don't know. And I pulled my left arm and hand out of its mouth, which ended up doing the damage there, and got to the car as quickly as I could. I can't answer that.
Kendall, do you have any further questions?
Sorry, no. Thank you.
Andy?
No.
I just have one question. Thank you for being a part of the volunteer force that works with Meals on Wheels. That's a great thing for our community. Have you participated in delivering to this property prior to this incident?
No, this was the first time. I don't know that any Meals on Wheels had been delivered there before. I don't know. I do Friday mornings, and it was my first time there.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Joe from the select board? Okay, well, you can grab a seat. Thank you. I'd like to invite the dog owner to provide their testimony now. I believe they're online.
Looks like she stepped away for a second.
She'll be right back. She just brought her dog out.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Your turn to give testimony. Could you state your name and where you live for the record?
Janet Campbell. I live at 179 Brigham Hill Road, Essex Junction, Vermont, 05452.
The floor is yours. If you could tell us your testimony.
Me and my boyfriend had kind of rescued this Jack about a year ago, and I've been working with him this entire year, and we haven't really had any problems with him all the way up until just this last month, when my parents have both broke their hips. I don't know if Jack's being really overprotective because of them being elderly and hurt, but he's definitely acting like this is all the home health people coming to the house is very new to us. Like, Jack has always been good around people. I'm willing to take any type of help I can get. Like, he's a good dog. He's never gave me problems. I don't know what's causing Jack to act like this, other than he's being protective of the household, and I need to take the precautions I need to take to make sure that this never happens again. But I don't really even know how these type of procedures go. So I don't even really know what to say.
Well, I appreciate you joining us tonight. It's important to hear all sides of what happened. This is a very serious incident that took place in our community, and dog hearings, fortunately, are usually rare. I know that other members of this board have, been involved with the couple over the past 4 or 5 years. We consider ourselves lucky, and it's because a lot of the work that our community does, both the officers in town, the animal control, as well as education that we do to make sure that animals in this community are kept safe, as well as the people. So if you have anything else to say about the specific incident, about you heard Mr. Haddock's account, if you have anything to add to that, or anything about the dog that we should be aware of.
I should have taken a better precaution on having him chained up. I wasn't aware that he would ever act like that. I should have had him chained from the start, never let him off the leash. He's a good dog. Other than the other incident the other day occurred because the lady came in the house and didn't warn anybody she was coming in, and Jack ended up running into her, and I had to throw myself on top of my dog, and he ended up biting me instead of her. And so my heart goes out to the man that was bit. I know exactly how he feels because my dog bit me the other day, and it's really scary. But I'd like to figure out how we can figure this out, because I don't know what to do.
Well, thank you for that. I'll turn to the select board. Do you have any questions for Miss Jana? Or Miss Campbell? My apologies. You think? Yes, please.
So, since the other information has been brought up by both parties, can we ask questions about the information that's not?
in this packet that was,
Directly
it was
in this
submitted
packet.
as supplemental, so I believe that's correct. Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, okay.
My question for you is, after the first incident with the dog, where he bit Joe, you said that the person came into the house unannounced, so there was no expectation that the person was coming to the house. No precautions for the medical assistant that was coming to the house.
Honestly, nobody. She might have knocked, but my mom said she might have knocked, but nobody heard her knock. Nobody knew she was in the house. The dogs ended up finding her before we knew she was even in the house. And I had to just jump on top of Jack and restrain him and have her leave the house. She came back on Monday or today, and everything went fine. I just kept Jack up in the room like that. She knew that we put the dogs up in the room when she comes over. I don't know why she thought it was okay to come in the house, because we always put the dogs up when she comes over. So that's something that we've always done.
Okay, because that was gonna be my follow-up question was, you know, if you know that there's people coming to the house,
Yeah, we always bring Jack upstairs. I have 2 doors that I shut, so if he gets through one door, at least there's another door that stops him. But we didn't know she was even in the house.
my problem with a lot of this is I fully respect private property and the laws surrounding, but as soon as you are requesting a public service to your residents, it no longer becomes a private situation. You know, if these individuals are being asked to come to the house and there's no method or precautions that are being taken place for routine times, you know, placement of the dog, then it becomes a much larger issue of, can you control the dog? Because the dog clearly can't control himself in the current state, whether that's to be decided for future. But my question is to you, do you feel that you have control of the dog after the dog bit you?
You know what? I do. I do. I've been able to control him for the most part. I kind of knew he was going to do that because he didn't know who was on top of him. I just threw myself on top of him like he did, like I came from behind. So he could have thought I was some burglar jumping on top of him. So I totally get why he bit me. As soon as he realized he bit me, he backed off, and he's my baby. I don't think he knew who he was biting. I think he thought I was a stranger.
Okay, and I have another question for you. In your time that you've had the dog on the property, has he ever left the property without you noticing?
No, we normally have the back all fenced in, but one of the fences came down, so we've been chaining them up out back. And we have 2 dogs. We have to chain one out front and one out back until we get that fence fixed.
To your knowledge, the dog has never left the property?
No.
Okay, that's all I got for now.
Thank you then. Andy?
So were you present during the incident that Joe described, where
Yes.
the gentleman that was bitten? So you're the individual that
Yes.
can you describe what happened there?
I had to throw myself on top of Jack, pin him down, try to hold him steady until he could get away.
So can you describe how the dog got out the front door? That's
Well, the dogs were using the bathroom. Lola was off the leash too. I don't even.
I wasn't here. But he did come from.
Yeah, he came from the neighbor. We have 2 apartment next door, and that's where the Meals on Wheels guy was walking from. He didn't park in our normal driveway, so it kind of looked like somebody was walking, like kind of creeping around the house. I would think the dogs would have maybe thought he could have been like a prowler or something because he was walking around the house when normally people just drive in the driveway, not come from the back driveway. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
To your house? It was to the
It
neighbors?
was to our house, but he parked in a different driveway that doesn't go to our house. It goes to the side apartment.
Oh, okay.
So he was coming around, cutting through the front porch or the front yard, and the dogs were coming out the door to go to the bathroom, and he was coming around the house, and it just, I never leave my dog unattended. Like, I'm always with him. So, like, I was there, but I should have had him chained up.
Okay.
Kendall, I want to give you a chance. Do you have any questions for Ms. Campbell?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from the select board? Great. We will move on to inviting anybody else who has relevant evidence or testimony to give to please come forward. Please state your name as well as your title. Thank you for joining us.
I'm Nicole Peatman. I am with the Essex Police Department as a patrol officer there.
Great. The floor is yours.
I just have my report in front of me just for recollection, as it was, a couple weeks ago at this point. On January 16th, I was dispatched to the area of Indian Brook and Old Stage for a male that was getting medical attention from a dog bite that happened up on Brigham Hill Road. The male was identified as Mr. Haddock back there, and he was already in the ambulance getting medical attention, so I was not able to see the full extent of his injuries, but I did notice that his clothes were very bloodied. I did observe that there was some skin hanging from his left arm when the medical team was redressing some of his wounds. I learned that he had injuries to his right forearm, left hand, right arm, and then I think it was his left thigh. He stated that he was delivering Meals on Wheels when a black dog came from the side and bit him as he was getting up on to the porch area of the house. Mr. Haddock said he fell to the ground, and the dog continued to bite him. He stated there was another dog, but he doesn't believe that dog was involved at all. It was just running around. A woman had came outside to try and get the dog off of him, and Mr. Haddock attempted to get back up, and the dog took him down again. He got in his car, started to drive away, felt lightheaded, and then so he pulled over, called rescue, and that's when we responded.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any further testimony that you'd like to share from your report or anything?
I had spoken with Ms. Campbell. She identified the dog as Jack. They'd come from a different town. Jack wasn't yet registered with the town of Essex, but he was up to date on his rabies vaccinations.
Thank you. Select board members, do you have any questions for the officer? Kendall?
I would just ask, did you hear the dogs barking at all when you were there?
I did not respond to the house. I responded to the location that Mr. Haddock had pulled over at.
Okay, thank you.
If nothing further from Mr. Chamberlain, the one question I have is, do you know if the dog has been registered as of today?
I can't recall. I know I've had email interaction with Ms. Campbell, reminding her to get the dog registered. I can't remember what that outcome has been, though.
Thank you. We can move on. I believe the woman in the back in the green wanted to speak. I can't see her name.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Nichols, and I'm Animal Control with Essex Town and Essex Junction.
Thank you.
My role in this hearing would be to help with the recommendations. And I don't know if you're at that point of this hearing, or if that's something that can happen in a little bit after you're ready, when you're making recommendations. But as far as interactions with anybody, I did briefly speak with the gentleman who delivered the Meals on Wheels over the phone, but it was a very brief conversation, and to just go over some information with him. And then the last correspondence that I saw about if the dog is registered or not, I did speak with the town clerk that around the end of last week, and at that point, I think there was some sort of the dog had not been registered, but it sounded like there was some sort of mix-up that was going on about getting the payment over. That's what it appeared to be. So I don't know if the dog was able to get registered today or not.
We can do.
Sorry, we're taking her testimony now.
But as far as the bites go, you know, there are different levels of bites that can happen from dogs, and there are two separate professionals that have bite levels, and it goes from like bite level 1 all the way up to 5 or 6. And bite level 1 is usually when, you know, the dog is giving just, you know, like looking at you, making sure like you're keeping away. And then there's bite levels all the way up to 5 or 6. With the bite that had occurred with the gentleman delivering the Meals on Wheels, it appears from what I've read with the reports is that, you know, this is a higher level bite that had occurred. There's also one of the first dog level forms or statistics or whatever you want to call it is put out by Ian Dunbar, I believe it is. And then there's another one by Sophia Ying, I believe. And they're both similar. Both of these different bite levels are similar of how they rate bites for dogs. What I don't know about the bite that occurred is the depth of the punctures, because that can sometimes change things, because when we're bit and we pull, that does tend to worsen the bite. When we're pulling away, which is a natural instinct. I would do that too. I'd be like, compared to like how deep the punctures actually are. I don't know. But that is all in these bite levels that you should have received in the packet. So I think looking at you know, the multiple bites is important. Like how many times the dog did bite. That's significant. It appears to be significant. So I think that's probably all I have for right now. I'm not really addressing probably, you know, things. So do you have questions for me?
Your testimony has been very much appreciated. Just to follow up on your level describing the Dunbar scale.
Yeah.
In the report, which is public record, this was considered a level 5 bite, which is described as multiple bite incidents with at least 2 level 4 bites or multiple attack incidents. And this was considered a level 5.
Yeah.
But thank you for bringing that up. I'll turn it to the select board as to if they have any questions for Joanne. Yes, Ethan.
Hi, Joanne. I don't know if we have the ability to do this, but is there any sort of record keeping on the dog itself that we've been able to look for or find for the I know she mentioned that the dog was rescued. Is there any Chittenden County database where there's potential that this dog may have bitten in another ownership situation?
Right. Paul, may I hand that one over to you?
Sure. So we did. I did research. I checked the name of the previous owner, the actual owner of the dog, and there was no actual bites that were found in the database that's used throughout the state of Vermont. So based on that, I couldn't find anything else that was in there. Was there a suspicious incident? Yeah, I believe there was, where the current owner was bitten and didn't report where the bite came from to the hospital and failed to cooperate. But I can't say for 100% that was this dog bit the owner. But there was another incident in 2025 where the current owner was bitten by a dog, but he would not disclose what the dog was. But other than that, there was no evidence in Belcor, which is a system that we use database throughout the state of Vermont, of this dog biting anybody else.
Thank you.
That's your question.
Further comments from the select board? Kendall?
All set, thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I see that, Joe, you have your hand. Do you want to add something?
Well,
If you can come up to the microphone, please.
I might give this to her. I have photos are taken in the emergency room documenting severity of the bites. And I don't know if you want that or...
I know in the report it said that they were recorded by the police report. Is that correct? And then they were available for further evidence. Come on up, ma'am.
I hadn't yet received the medical release form from UVM Medical Center yet, so I'm unsure if those have the pictures in there, as I hadn't received those documents yet. I received documents from his primary care physician, and those did not have any pictures of any injuries. I did not look further to take pictures or injury or any documentation of injuries, as he was already being dressed, and I was not going to ask rescue to undress his wounds so I could look. So I was leaning on some medical assistance, hopefully at the hospital. So if those are from the hospital, then that's probably what I would be getting in a medical release form.
Well, these were taken at the hospital, but...
By physicians?
By my son.
Oh, by your son. Then I don't know if I would have those in the medical
Yeah,
forms.
if you could take a copy and we'll submit that.
Sure.
Ms. Campbell, I know you're on Zoom, but I did hear at one point you were trying to speak. Did you have a comment you wanted to make?
No, I don't have a comment. I was talking to my mom.
We are going to mute you. If you do need to speak, please raise your hand. Any final comments or questions from the select board? Is there a motion as to how you would like to proceed?
Can I ask a question about that? I guess I mean, do we go into a deliberative session? And we have to decide whether to do it?
We have the option to do a public deliberative session. We have the option to go into a private deliberative session. We have the option to adjourn and reopen this at another time. I know in speaking with the manager before this meeting that it's a lot of times been done publicly, so we could hear from experts and things like that. By no means am I trying to put the thumb on the scale. This is new for me as well.
Right. So I guess it's occurred to me that if there's going to be another hearing, it needs to happen within 10 days of it being reported. So we're probably gonna have another meeting next week on the same dog. Should we have the discussion all at once and defer it to a later meeting, or do we?
Does the staff have a recommendation?
I believe you can recess and continue the meeting to a future date. is there a recommendation from police if we have a separate hearing, or if this is continued with new evidence?
I believe Ms. Campbell's already brought up the issue at hand of what occurred. We don't have the.
Sorry, sir. Could you come up to the microphone so they can hear you?
We don't have the home health care nurse available at this time. So if you'd want to hear any testimony from her, that's not going to be available right now.
I do think if there's any conditions that you'd like to impose as
soon as possible. Yeah, it's
wrap up this hearing and move into deliberative session tonight. If you wanted to come up with a set of conditions, we can get that to the dog owner tomorrow, if that's your preference.
Yeah, it's occurred to me as I was asking this question that it makes more sense to put the constraints on quickly rather than waiting another week or 10 days to do that. Yeah. So, okay. So you're looking for a motion to close the hearing, is that?
Yes, please. Then we can motion to go into deliberation.
Okay. I moved that we close the hearing, the potentially vicious dog hearing.
Is there a second to close?
Second.
All those in favor of closing the hearing on the potentially vicious dog, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Hearing is closed. Is there a motion for action?
I make the motion that we have a public deliberative session to discuss the potential actions.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Kendall, didn't hear your vote.
Yep, aye.
Great. Motion carries 4-0.
Just a quick point of order. We did just get these photos. I think if you wanted to look at them, you should probably reopen the public hearing, or you can just continue with deliberative session without having seen these. Sorry.
What is the board's?
I don't think I need to see them.
Agreed.
I would agree. I think the descriptions and the testimony has been enough for me, but we'll have other chances to look at them in the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The deliberation is open. Andy, as calling the motion, I look to you.
So there's a long list of recommendations from Joanne. I agree with all of them. I'm personally terrified of this dog, from what I've heard. We can't take that additional step, but I'm in support of all of the recommendations. Want me to read them off?
Yes, and if you'd like to have Joanne come up, expand on them, you're welcome to. Do you want to read them off, or how do you want to proceed?
I don't know. I don't know what the
Yeah, why don't you read
proceed?
them off, and we can discuss
Okay, so
with the board. And then we can
so the recommendations are the dog must be trained to wear a basket muzzle at all times when outdoors. Dog must be leashed when outside. Dog must be trained to wear a secured body harness, which the leash can be attached to. A two-system barrier must be put in place for the dog to not escape to an exterior door to the outside. Owner must install a secure fenced area for the dog to be outside in the yard. The owner must consult with a certified dog behaviorist to learn strategies to manage the dog's behavior and tendencies, and or complete the Canine Good Citizen program through the American Kennel Club. Owner must install a beware of dog signs on the perimeter of the property with a phone number for a delivery person to call when arriving to the property, to call to notify of the delivery. Must install a mail drop box on the perimeter of the property for deliveries to keep delivery people from entering onto the property and up to the home. Must consult with a veterinarian about neutering the dog and following those recommendations if he is not neutered as of some date that we'll have to discuss.
I agree. Ethan.
I have a couple questions. I don't know if you want to come forward, Joanne, but I'm have some concerns about the protection of individuals entering the home. I'm just wondering if you have any recommendations for preventions for individuals that are needed to enter the home. It seems
to
for the
come
time
inside
being.
the home.
Yes.
Yes, so the two barrier prevention would work.
Inside, yeah.
So,
Okay.
it sounds like in an earlier comment that the owner made that she tends to keep them upstairs in a room or somewhere where a closed door. So it would be a 2-barrier system. So having one, maybe even 2 closed doors. The barrier system is so a 2-system barrier is so that if the first one fails, the second one will still hopefully work. But it needs to be, the barrier system would need to be appropriate for the size of dog. So, so you have to think about a 100-pound dog versus a 10-pound dog. So if we're looking at a larger breed dog, we want to make sure that the barrier system is going to be able to hold. So so an example is what you would not want to use a baby gate for a large breed dog. They might just knock that over. So, so if that barrier, that kind of barrier could be used inside the house.
Okay. And I'm not an expert here, but I'm asking for your guidance. Would it be appropriate for the dog to be muzzled anytime a non-resident is inside the home?
I think that's a reasonable request as long as it's a recommended muzzle for that breed of, whatever that breed of dog is. So as we know, dogs have all different kinds of sizes of snouts.
Mhm.
So it would need to be likely like a basket muzzle where the dog can drink while it's on and pant while the muzzle is on, opposed to the kind that are just, tight and does not allow a dog to open their mouth and pant or drink water.
And you would support that recommendation?
Yes.
Those are my 2 questions.
Do you want to add on to the list that additional?
Did we make a motion?
We did
Or
not.
just
We did not.
discussion?
Oh, we've just discussed it, but I think that's a great.
Yeah, no, I think that there needs to be protections inside the home. I'm just not
Mhm.
the expert on what those
And-
any extra protections we can place inside the home, I would say.
Yeah,
add them.
and it's also possible, if there's an area, a secured area outside, like in the outside yard, if that area was completely secured where the dog could not, break through the fence or go under the fence, that could also work as a barrier when having people inside the home.
Would you recommend like an outdoor kennel, like a heavy duty chain link? Not. And there's gonna be some specifications for
Yeah, I mean, I would use
unattended confinement.
Yeah, use a confinement that's appropriate for the size of dog that, that is there. You wouldn't want to use a little snow fence for a large breed dog, but you do want something secured. It could be a stockade fence. It could be a chain link fence. It could
Okay.
be. And it would have to be the correct height as well.
Andy.
So if we put restrictions, these recommendations in place, how do we enforce them? Or what do we go verify that they're in place? Do we, if another incident happens again, then what happens? That's what I'm just struggling with a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think that giving, in the recommendations, you can give deadlines. And then you can also, as far as enforcing or going out, to make sure that everything is, the fence is there, the 2-system, barrier is there. I mean, that is something that animal control can go out and check on. We would obviously set up a time for that, and make sure that everything is, that all the recommendations are being met.
what's the ramification if they're not, or what happens if they
That, Paul, may I refer that to you as well, or is that something?
don't? Yeah, we had a situation where there was a dog that left its property, and there was a different situation where it had killed other animals. This was something that happened fairly in the, and so, but in this case, the dog has been on its own property. So I think
I mean, part of the recommendations would be, in my opinion, is if they can't fulfill what you're requiring them to do, that they surrender the dog over to the police department and or the town, for the dog to be placed somewhere else or brought to the Humane Society or something of that nature. As far as there is some fines for some of the aspects of it, it all fits under Title 20. You'd have to look up on, I think it's 3550, and it gives you some of the fines that can be imposed. I think it's up to $500 per violation. In lots of cases with additional bites, the police department is actually went to the courthouse and got a warrant and seized the dog and removed the dog from the owner's custody because they failed to adhere to what they were supposed to be doing. Such as, registering the dog in town, which the dog is, as far as I know, is still not registered. And it sounds like this dog is not getting better, it's getting worse. It doesn't sound like the homeowner, from what I heard, is taking precautions like they should. And she seemed to be very aware that this dog is a vicious dog, even though it's on its own property.
So with what, we need to provide a written statement of the conditions. Should that include anything about potential tickets or fines?
My recommendation would be, if they don't fulfill what you're asking for, that they're to surrender the dog to you. Surrender the dog to the town.
Other portions of the recommendations say that it's not recommended to give the dog to somebody else or move the problem somewhere else. So that's another sticky part.
Yeah, so
it's hard to
so the,
say
yes.
what
We can't put the dog down. So that's
You wouldn't be ordering that. That wouldn't be something that you'd be ordered through there. We could request that through the court system.
Okay.
That would be the reason why we would get a search warrant and retrieve the dog, and we'd ask the judge to order that the dog is.
Okay, so there's other ordinances that statewide or whatever that would come into play.
Yeah.
At that time.
Okay.
Yep.
So our recommendations don't need to are how to control the animal on its property, and then potentially some comments about the ramifications of not meeting that.
Yeah, and my opinion would be 100% compliance. I wouldn't try to say that, well, this one you don't have to do, this one you do have to do. If you don't have to do it, then don't require it. If it's all required, then it's all required, and within a reasonable amount of timeline to do it.
Okay.
And then if it's not fulfilled, then we, excuse me, we would apply for it, a warrant for the dog, and to seize the animal and ask for it to be euthanized.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Andy, yes, please.
I'm just looking for. Andy brought up a good point. I was gonna lead into that with my next thought that I had in my head. So, with the recommendations, and thank you for bringing the clarity to that about the dog shouldn't be surrendered to the Humane Society or any of that. So just so I'm understanding, so the clear recommendation is to the select board, or to the town of Essex rather. That way, the police department would then.
Well, animal control would.
Or animal control would file to the state to put the dog down. Because my concern is that this is a level 5 bite, and when I look at the bite chart, level 6 is the description is victim dead. So we're at that step.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so there is no in between 5 and 6, and then there's already another bite. So just wanted the clear understanding there that was be all of our recommendations 100% with a deadline on
Whatever
all
it would be.
on all of them.
And if there's a violation, we would
Immediate
notify
termination.
Animal control would go and verify that these things have been completed. If they're not, Nichols would let us know. We would then apply for the warrant for the dog. And with our request, it may or may not be granted. We can't say that 100%. It all depends how the judge looks at it. And if they don't fulfill that, then we would pick up the dog and then we'd have the dog euthanized.
And
that would be our request.
If say we do check in and all of the conditions are met and there is another incident either reported to the town or found by a report to the town from a medical professional or any manner, that would be an automatic disqualifying event.
Yeah, we would then take that and still at that point we would apply for the warrant to pick up the dog. At that point, if they're not able,
we can put all that in there.
Yeah, you're not able to still control the dog. If there's another incident, they're failing to do what they were supposed to be instructed to do, which was the main thing is to control the animal, and they're not doing that.
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you. Good questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Kendall, I want to give you a chance to speak as well.
Yeah, my only question
Is there was another recommendation in there to neuter the dog. In your professional opinion, do you feel that would make any difference in the temperament of the animal?
Yeah, sometimes neutering a dog can help. However, sometimes with large breed dogs, you do need to speak with a veterinarian because sometimes neutering large breed dogs needs to happen at a certain stage in their life. Usually my understanding, I'm not a veterinarian obviously, but my understanding is that with large breed dogs, they need to be neutered a little bit later in life opposed to the pediatric spay neuters that they do nowadays when they're spay and neutering dogs and cats at as long as they're 2 pounds and over 8 weeks old, they'll spay and neuter. But with large breeds, I believe the recommendation from the veterinary community is to wait. But sometimes it can help with behavioral situations. But I'm not a dog behavioralist either. So.
Thank you, Kendall. Anything else?
I was going to say the only
Thing I would add is that if we do impose all of the conditions, that we have a very short timeline and that we make sure that it is strictly adhered to. I'm most concerned because the dog actually bit the owner, and that's not good. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm in agreement with all of my colleagues here. I think 100% compliancy. I think how we word it, it should be open to look at the experts, animal control, Essex PD, as well as, what other experts we feel is necessary to make these strong to protect both the owners as well as the community. Ethan.
Just question, possible recommendation, but would it be appropriate to open the recommendations and draft our added recommendations with help from guidance from our professionals, just so things are worded and then we could seal that up today?
Greg, is that a possible way to go about it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With the goal of having them ready by when?
To make a motion in the next couple minutes.
Great, let's do it.
Yeah.
Excellent. I didn't know if you're saying
No, I think just quickly have them look at our wording as we put it on, and if everybody's comfortable with that.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Great.
Greg's got his fingers out.
I don't mean to preempt you. I'm not sure if this is where you're going. Before you make a motion, just a couple thoughts. I think Kendall was spot on as far as what's the quickest reasonable timelines. I think putting the deadlines in some of these conditions. Joanne, I'm getting into semantics a little bit, but a couple of the first items: trained to wear a basket at all times, trained to wear a secure body harness at all times. I'm assuming that's trained and wear those things when it's outside, just to make it explicitly clear. Those are a couple things that I had, just making some of that stuff clear and have a clear, short timeline.
I agree. I think each one of the bullet points and recommendations, and I wouldn't call them recommendations, I would call them requirements, need to have a very clear, this is what you must do by this date, and that's when animal control will be going to make sure that it is, accomplished. So I'll leave it to the select board to begin the process of drafting this. We can go down the list, or what would you like to do?
I think Greg brings a good point, but I would again just create this in a Word document real quick. Maybe we could share the screen and live draft it together. I understand the training and wearing part, but I would think that there's some things that could be immediate, which would be making sure that the dog is in confinement anytime somebody comes to the property, whether that's outdoors, indoors for the time being until we can figure out timeline on the training part of that. So I don't see must be trained to wear.
It was the first and third bullet point.
Yep. Dog must be trained.
So Ethan, if I could just
Yeah.
jump in, maybe
Go
we
ahead.
order these with the things that need to happen immediately, and then we jump down to the ones with a
Yep.
longer timeline.
Yep. So everything except for the first and third should be immediate, plus what we add.
Well, can a fence be installed immediately?
Well, no.
I think it's things like that. I think sorry, Andy, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that within 48 hours or something like that, there should be a beware of dog sign up with a phone number, with the description on this bullet point within this recommendation. I think a similar short timeline for directions for dropping the mail and delivery boxes, so that if they continue to get Meals on Wheels or just get packages delivered or whatever it is, there's a very clear and obvious process for doing so. Those are things I think could happen within the next day or two. I think consulting the trainer, training the dog in the muzzle and the body harness are those looser things that will take time, but they should at least get the products. I think installing a fence is a larger thing. Again, it probably needs to be done when the snow is not around, but they need to at least have a place outside the dog can securely do its business, as well as it's safe for everybody involved. Looking at this, and I'd be curious, Joanne, your two-system barrier, you described it about height of fences and height of doors and half doors and different things. That's both, Ethan brought up a good point, that's both for when people are providing care to the individuals of the house. We need something established inside, as well as I would almost think we need a second clause for a two-system barrier for when the dog is outside. Is that correct?
That would be appropriate, yes. Yeah.
Greg, would you mind putting that up on the screen so we can see it as you?
Sure, I'm just typing it up because I don't have a Word document of what's in the packet, but
Sure.
I'll pull it up in a moment.
While Greg is doing that, could I just offer something?
Please, yeah.
So in looking at these recommendations, it looks like the sixth one down talks about meeting with a dog behaviorist. I was just quickly looking at the American Kennel Club program that's mentioned there. That's a 10-week program.
Okay.
So if you would like to leave the timeline that long, keep that language in there. I might recommend taking it out if you're seeking a shorter timeline for compliance, in terms of that being an option for the owner to pursue.
Oh, it says consult though, not complete.
It says and or complete the good
And
citizen
or.
program. So you could just take that section out if it's about the
And
consulting.
You're saying the
piece.
second clause.
Right, they
Sure.
can't achieve that program in 30 days, for example, is my point.
That's a valid point. I think that was in there for a suggestion as to what they were getting at, but I think that's a valid.
Would that be the program that would train about the muzzle in the harness? Or would that
I'm
be
not
a-
an expert, certainly, Joanne.
Was that a question for
speak
Joanne?
Yeah, I don't have that answer
Okay.
either.
Okay, so 1, 3, 5 need to be
Looser.
would need to be a longer timeline. And 6 potentially needs we could do 12 weeks for a 10-week program, gives you 2 weeks to get in, and I don't know. I mean, it's just,
We could.
do you let any of this go for multiple months and have a second violation in that time? You know what I mean? In my opinion, I'm not a dog expert, but Joanne, maybe you could help me, but it wouldn't take a lengthy training to muzzle a dog.
I can't answer that one either. I think it's gonna be how the training happens. Usually it's a training of conditioning the dog to be able to wear a muzzle. Like, you can't just put the muzzle on and expect them to wear it. You got to put it on, maybe put some peanut butter in it, get them used to like having it as a positive reinforcement. Apply a positive reinforcement methods, and like putting peanut butter on the inside of it, putting it on, taking it off. So it does take a while, but I don't really know this dog's temperament or how fast of a learner he is. And this is something where working with a behavioralist will help with those kinds of action items.
It's tricky.
It certainly is. Greg, thank you for quickly typing those up. Do we want to start with putting timelines on those?
I think we want to add the couple things that we talked about before for making sure that the dog is secured for any non-residents who enter the home.
Yeah, so Greg, in number 4, the 2 tier or 2 system barriers, I think there needs to be either sub-bullets for both outdoors and indoors, or additional sentences saying outdoors and indoors. Do you have wording specifically?
I want this to be a separate all on its own, that if any non-resident is on the property, the dog needs to be
inside.
Yeah, in a secure location where it's not to come in contact with said visitor to the property immediately.
Effective immediately.
You're right.
I think that's the terminology we should be using for various ones that can be effective immediately. Do you agree, Mr. Watts?
Yeah, but it's a hard one to confirm. But yeah.
True, but it also then.
Yeah.
Well, somebody.
But if it's violated, then then it's violated. Yep.
If Joanne makes an appointment to
Yep.
visit the property,
or if somebody gets bit and then
or if the dog's outside,
then it's a violation. Yeah. Okay.
Healthcare, Meals on Meals, UPS, mail.
Sure. Christmas calendars.
I don't think this is an option to leave anything. Kendall has his hand up too.
I'm not sure that that's the intent there. It says shall be behind a 2 barrier system inside the home. I thought we also said that the fence outside could be part of the 2 barrier system. That's where I think the intent is if anyone, a non-resident, is inside the home,
Providing
the
care.
dog needs to be behind a 2 barrier system. Greg, do you get where I'm?
Yes, I'm just getting to that spot. Is that
And then I think that the second inside the home at the end of the sentence then doesn't need to be there. Or is that?
Well, I think
Because the dog could be outside, right?
I think
because
that's fair.
If you've got a healthcare person coming, they can put the dog outside as long as it's got 2 things it has to get through to get
A
back
fence
in.
and a door type thing. Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't think the intent is that the inside barrier, the double 2 barriers, has to be in the inside.
The dog shouldn't be outside unsupervised at this point in time because there's no 2 barrier system outside. There's no fence that's currently structural or unsafe. I don't believe that the dog should be left on a runner unattended. My opinion. But I don't think the dog should be left unattended outside at all.
Okay.
Until there's clear kennel, fence,
Sure.
property.
Is there a way we could word it so that when that is created, it does
It's in there. It says a 2-system barrier put in place for
On
the
the
dog
exterior.
not to escape.
on the exterior door to the house?
Or no, that's to the outside. There was a second one. There was a second one about being outside. Okay, it just says install a secured fence in an area for the dog to be in the outside yard, which
There-
I think we were talking about.
Excuse me, but there is on Devin Cresco's recommendations. She recommends that the dog would wear a muzzle that he's trained to, like a basket muzzle when he's outside as well. She recommends that, and she also in her report recommended a 2-point system of leashes, like one leash for the
Alright.
collar, one leash for the harness, kind of a thing. So she's recommending 2 points of restraint of leashes in her report when he's needs to be on a leash. So if one fails, you still have control.
So you would interpret and also recommend that the dog should not be on a runner by itself, especially without a muzzle.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay. That's what I would. I mean, if you're in agreement with that, but I would say that the dog cannot be outside unless he's. Obviously, the muzzle can't happen immediately, but
Right.
supervision to use the restroom and then back into the house
Mhm.
with the two. Because once he's in the house, our requirement in the house at all times is 2 barrier
Mhm.
to reach the outside.
Does that language capture what we were looking for?
The dog must be trained.
It should be and be supervised.
Dog must. Sorry, I'm sorry. Dog must be trained to wear a basket muzzle and must wear the muzzle at all times when outdoors. And Joanne, on this number 1 we're working on.
Yep.
So it would be and 2 points of restraint or 2 barriers to prevent leaving confined space. Once the dog's trained, and 2 points of constraint is the recommendation that she had wrote.
Yeah, what
think that's what
number?
the leash
I'm
is.
sorry, what number are you on, Ethan?
Oh, I thought we were trying to. Where's the leashing one that we're
Leash is number 2. Dog
Okay.
must be leashed when outside. I think it's important.
Oh,
to add
yes.
a
Yeah,
clause that
number
from
2 then.
Devon's, following 2 points of constraint or restraint system. Sorry.
So, do you think we should combine those two though? Because I think if the dog is outside, those are the requirements, and or the dog must be trained to wear the muzzle. The dog must be under 2 points of constraint, and or the dog can be in a multi-barrier outside confinement.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could kind of put them all into one. That if the dog is to go outside, this is the only way possible.
Okay.
Rather than having kind of,
Yeah, it
because then you
covers
could say,
all.
well, I did this, but then that one kind of said something different, per
Sure.
se. I would just say that way for any outdoor activity, it's
Oh, Greg added the 2 points of restraint on the leash one.
on the leash.
2, I'm just trying to think of
Yep.
where I put Ethan's language. You're talking about anytime it's outside, it should have.
Well, anytime the dog is outside, it's got to have a muzzle, I think, entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Once
At all
it's
times
trained.
on outdoors, yep.
And then either of those 2 options, 2 points of restraint or an outside confinement with two
To a two-system
Barriers.
barrier. Mm-hmm.
And then I would put something, I thought I saw it in there actually, is that the dog's not to be in public other than going to and from the vet. Did I see that in there?
I remember reading that. I don't know if it was a recommendation or possible recommendation.
I guess we could add training in there, right? To training or veterinary. I just really
Oh, right.
don't want this dog in the public by any means.
Number 6, the fenced-in area. Is that sufficient, or are you looking to add that the dog must be inside the fenced-in area
A
when
two-barrier
not on a
secured
leash?
fence area, I would put. I also think, and Kendall, I don't know if your hand is up. I apologize. We're focused on this drafting. It is up. Kendall, why don't we go to you before I jump in?
No problem. I just
Thought that on number 6, actually, I'm sorry, on number 5, that you should add a muzzle to that. That anytime that someone is not a resident of the property is inside the home, the dog shall be muzzled and placed behind a two-system barrier. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendall. Is that hand still up? Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
I will try to keep better look at that. I think the major thing that these are all missing is time frame, and that's something that I really want to make sure we get in here. I'd be curious, Joanne, could you make recommendations for realistic time frames as well as prioritizing the safety of the community?
I think the consulting with a behavioralist, making those phone calls, needs to happen very soon.
Very soon, meaning?
Yeah. What's today, Monday? Maybe by the end of the week. Trying to reach out to at least maybe 3 dog behavioralists.
Okay.
You know, what we don't know is, you know, the owner can make those phone calls, but what we don't know is the schedule of the
Correct.
the professional. I would have that in place by the end of week. I would have the because that consultant is also going to be able to help with the basket muzzle training. So I also think that did you have up there? Oh yeah, number 9, the mail drop box. If it, you know, I know it's snowy out there and the ground is frozen, but I think a drop box or something can be done by the end of week, or beginning of next week. You know, even if it's a
Recycling bin. It doesn't have to be much.
right, yeah, and having contact like the beware of dog signs with the phone numbers, with at least 2 phone numbers, if possible, to contact somebody in the house that you're here, you know, on those signs that are on the perimeter of the property. And I believe the owner mentioned that there were 2 driveways, so that there's no confusion with the 2 driveways, that maybe a box is put at each driveway and a sign put at each driveway, because just to save any confusion for people who are arriving.
I would personally, and I'll turn to the board to back me up if they feel differently. For the signs, I think that should be put up within 24 hours. They can get permanent signs by the end of the week, but handwritten signs could be put up tomorrow.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Don't know the person's work schedule. Don't know. Yeah, but
I think the important thing is that effective immediately, the dog is to be nowhere outside by itself until a later date, which these all systems are completed.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I was getting at with my at the beginning, and or so that way the dog. And then same with the inside the house, because we know that there's care happening at the house.
Mm-hmm.
And we also know that there's potentially Meals on Wheels still being delivered. Not anymore.
I doubt it.
Well, maybe other services being delivered to the house.
Mm-hmm.
So. How do we go about the ones that we can't know a date on yet? Can we?
I think I like what we
set
did
a
with
time?
Greg, 5 needs to be effective immediately also.
Ethan, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I think to answer your question, I like what we did with the action you could take immediately was you have to make 3 calls and reach out for consultation. Then the X factors that are out of control, we're not necessarily, writing things that are impossible. But I think that for the trainings, and quite honestly, I think it might be a little more appropriate for us to move the one that talks about training with a muzzle could be below the consultation calls, and obviously that will follow in my mind. But I think I don't know where my list is. Sorry.
Are we missing anything?
Well, your first recommendation obviously should be register the dog.
Yes, dog must be registered. Yes.
Shouldn't be any delay in that.
24 hours, 48 hours after receipt of this letter?
What is reasonable for the town? I know that Karen or Greg, do you have any information about what was shared with us about that barrier that's happening for the registration?
I'm not aware.
I do not.
Okay.
So just hear me out real quick, but after us finalizing and posting this tonight, approving this tonight, you're going to have to server the papers, which will be reasonable tomorrow at some given point. Say they get at any point that they're served tomorrow. I would do 24 hours from serving, which would put us roughly Wednesday.
Once the conditions are set, I can email them. I can provide you with their email, and you can email Ms. Campbell the conditions immediately and provide you with their phone number.
Is there confirmation receipt if you do it over email? Or do you have to physically hand it to them?
Yeah,
she requested the link tonight. I sent it to her, and she confirmed that she received it immediately.
Okay, so any response affirmatively is a
Yep.
confirmation. Okay.
Yep. And plus we can reach out by phone and do it that way too. So as soon as we get it, I can give it to her immediately, or we can provide it to you.
Does 24 hours work for that first one then? The registration within 24 hours? I see 3 people in the room. Kendall, do you agree? Okay, let's add that in there.
Communication with Miss Campbell. She is aware that the dog is supposed to be registered, and her last message to me on Friday was, "I know I have to register the dog. I'll take care of that." So she's already aware that the dog needs to be registered.
Good. So I think 1 is set. 2, effective immediately. Dog must be leashed at all times when outside using 2 points of restraint. That's time constrained and everything else. Are we good with 2?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I'm just gonna go down on this, and please jump in. I think anyone.
I'll
Yes,
jump
Greg.
in. Number 2 and number 4, the effective immediately, the dog shall be leashed using the 2 points of restraint, and the dog shall be muzzled. Once you get into 6 and 7, this talks about training to wear a muzzle and training to wear a harness. Just want to be cognizant of putting on conditions for immediacy, followed by conditions for, as soon as possible once it's trained. Joanne, do you have any thoughts on reasonable training period or reasonableness of adhering to these conditions, even if the dog is not trained to have those two pieces of equipment?
I think my experience with dogs and getting them to wear a body harness, is pretty easy. That it feels like you can put that on a dog and they'll wear it fine. It's the muzzle. I think that will be the longer goal. So, but I think a body harness.
7. And then there was one other thing that we wanted to add to effective immediately, but we need to put something in here for any failure.
Yeah, we have to have the failure to meet this agreement or any of these bullet points will result in surrendering the dog to animal control and the Essex Police Department.
But maybe we don't need 7 in there at all.
I agree. I think 7 had language of kind of describing the.
We changed the language.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're describing the harness appropriately in, I think it's now 3. A secured body harness. I think we should say that for the 2 points of restraint. Because 2 points of constraint could also be just like 2 clicks on a collar or something. I want to make sure we define it as a collar and a body harness type situation. Is that
Correct.
the
Yeah, so
recommendation?
one leash would be on the collar, another leash would be on the body harness.
And they would be separate from each other, right? So if the dog was able to break out one, you'd have the backup. Okay.
What's a reasonable time frame to secure a body harness if one is not already in possession?
I believe that a dog could wear one fairly quickly.
As far as purchasing one, if the
purchasing?
If the dog has to go out and use the bathroom, but they don't have the harness
Yeah,
yet.
I guess it depends on if they shop online or if they go out to the store and buy one.
PetSmart. PetSmart's got them, right?
I'm sorry?
PetSmart carries those. I've seen them there.
Yeah, probably PetSmart.
Tractor Supply.
Yeah, Tractor
Pet food
Supply
warehouse.
has.
I think there's.
Pet Food Warehouse. There's many options. Guys Farm and Yard. There's.
I think I would say
48
48
hours.
hours.
But effective. I'm sorry.
No, please.
I was gonna say effective immediately. The dog shall be leashed at all times when outside. Within 48 hours, the leashing shall consist of a
Including what do they call
a
it?
secured body harness.
Yes.
I would say neck collar and secured body harness, just so it's, or vice versa. Yeah, perfect.
So remove 8. So it's included above.
Yep. I know in the recommendations, both from Joanne as well as from Devin, we talked about, or maybe it was one or the other, when the dog needs to go off the property, obviously for training or for a doctor's appointment or such things. Should we put a stipulation in here as to how there should be the 2 points of restraint or something like that?
And muzzle. Muzzle
As
and.
soon as he's trained, yeah.
I know in some recommendations, and I went down a wormhole reading about this today. They talk about limiting what the dog can leave the property for. Is that something that you would recommend?
I mentioned that before.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I said that the dog should not leave the property at all. I know we haven't got to it yet, but unless we did at the bottom, not to leave the property at all, other than for training or veterinary.
I'm just don't know if we don't have a comment like that up there. I just wanna if we're gonna do it.
Okay, yeah, no,
You did bring it up, and
I think we
didn't
should
steal your
definitely
idea.
put that in there. Not to jump in, I just want to make
Oh,
sure
this is
that's
team effort.
definitely something that should be immediate requirement that the dog is not to be in public.
With the condition of if, so long as the
Training or
so
veterinary.
long as the owner is living in Essex.
Yeah. Unless there's some criteria that somebody wants for the dog to complete the canine good citizen program. I don't know. That's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah, I wouldn't go down.
I think right now we're just looking for action for reoffense.
In the list of things it can leave for, do we need to add in kenneling? If they go away and they need a place to keep the dog, is that something that we should allow them to do if they find a kennel that will take this dog? Is that something that's usually included in the list of appropriate departures from the property? I'm just trying to.
Yeah,
I want.
I
we're
mean-
obviously setting stipulations here. I want to be comprehensive if we're constraining
Right.
them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be one of your recommendations, and I know there is a kennel in Milton that will work with reactive dogs. So finding a kennel to board the dog could be a challenge. Like if the owner needs to go away or go somewhere, and the dog does need kenneling for some reason. There is a kennel, like I said, in Milton that will generally house reactive dogs, but again, it's up to the kennel owner
Okay.
if they're going to.
But I think
do
it's
that.
important to at least leave that door open for the owner.
If you put that in there though, Joanne, is there
Yeah.
some sort of requirement that somebody that owns a kennel like that would have to have with the state for housing reactive dogs?
I'm sorry, have what?
Is there a definition or a category that a kennel like that would fall under through the state for having reactive dogs, or a
Not
kennel's
that
a
I'm
kennel?
aware of.
Kennel's a kennel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Greg, a second.
Yeah, I think Kendall has his hand up, but before I lose my thought here, is it okay to put in the dog shall not leave the property except for unless permission is granted by the police or animal control officer? I'm just trying to think of things that we may not be thinking of.
That's
right
why I
in
was
this
trying to
moment.
get a little covering our bases.
That would be a you thing, but it's not what.
I think in backing this up a little bit, if the owner can work with a dog behavioralist, I think that is the professional to be asking those questions. So, I think checking in with animal control, if the dog needs to go somewhere, checking in with animal control would definitely be an option. And it would be good to know if the dog is going somewhere else. But I also think if the owner is working with a behavioralist, that is also the person to be checking in with as well.
Can you sum that up, Greg, to include that? Kendall, while Greg is talking, would you like to speak?
Just wanted to make sure
But
that
it's included in here somewhere that the dog should not leave the property unless it's muzzled. And I know that it would take some time potentially to train the dog to wear a muzzle all the time, but lots of times when you go to the vet, they'll put a muzzle on a dog, a good dog, so the owner should be able to put a muzzle on a dog right off.
Encompasses that?
Should say one outside the home. That would cover other
Yeah.
places that are indoors but not at the home. So,
That's fair. That's comprehensive.
Thank you.
yeah, there you go. The fence one is the other one that we don't have a timeline on.
How quickly do you want number 7? As soon as the behaviorist.
Yeah, I would say something along the lines of as soon as possible and recommended by the behaviorist or something like that.
I'd say 90 days. That puts you on May 2nd.
I mean, that sounds reasonable to me, but I'm not a. Is that when you train a dog for a muzzle?
Oh, no, not the muzzle. I was talking about the fence.
Oh, sorry. I was talking
Sorry.
about the.
Okay, sorry. I guess I jumped the tracks.
I thought you said fence.
I did.
You did. Sorry, I was still on.
Maybe we're still on
Sorry.
the other one though. I'm sorry.
But I still stand strong with that. I think 90 days, May 5th is more than enough time.
Are we talking about the muzzle now?
Nope, still talking about the fence.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's get back to the muzzle and move on to the fence. Do we have a timeline for the muzzle wearing?
I think that's going to depend on, again, depend on the behavioralist that the owner can work with.
Okay.
You know, reaching out to, is it in there for the owner to reach out to like 3 behavioralists?
I think that's number 1.
Yeah,
now, yes.
and then finding out what their schedule is.
Or 6. Good. Thank you, Greg. Let's move on to the fence.
We already did it.
We did it.
Do you like 90 days?
Yeah, sure.
I think 90 days is appropriate. As you said, that gets us into May, correct?
Yeah, May 2nd. Ground will be more than thawed.
Andy, you brought it up. Does that mean
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm happy.
While moving on to number 9, the signs. The sign shall be installed by February 6th. Great, Friday. Install a mail drop by February 6th. Good. Kendall, did you say something?
Yeah, I would move that up.
Is in the list.
Move the signs and the mail drop up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, that protects the people.
All right. Andy?
Thank you.
We're saying property owner. Is it dog owner? Do they own the property?
They do not own the property. The parents own the property.
So the dog owner doesn't own the property. So how do we? Can we? Does it matter?
So the property shall have.
The property shall have installed beware of dog signs. Or something like that. I think that's a good point. Or do we need to address this to the dog owner?
No, that brings a good point, and another point to be taken from that is any that there should be immediate notification to animal control and the town of Essex shall the dog owner change properties, residents. If the dog moves, you know what I mean?
Sure. No, you're saying it's not just this, if they move to a different apartment or something?
Different apartment, different address, anywhere within anything change. And then like Andy says, remove it from being property owner and everything should read dog owner. That way it makes it responsible that the owner and caretaker of the dog shall do these things at where they are. And shall they move to a different location, they shall notify us immediately.
That's a very good point. I have a question for animal control. When a dog like this were to move pounds, different things, is that new town notified that that dog is now living in that vicinity? What is the process like for sharing?
There isn't an official process for that.
Okay.
So, but Do animal control officers network with each other? Yes. So, you know, so if this dog was to move to a different, you know, if the owner and the dog were to go to a different town, can animal control notify them? Yeah, that's reasonable, but there's no set system for that.
Gotcha. And that lines to contact information?
Yes.
Great. Did you have hands? Ethan, Andy, just scratching?
I just scratching.
We had the property owner question, dog owner versus property owner.
I think he changed it to dog owner. Are you comfortable with that, Andy?
Well, number 10 says property owner.
Oh.
Number 9 says property
Yeah,
owner.
Oh, I thought he just changed. I thought I saw dog owner on the couple.
There were some dog owners. I started putting property owner.
Uh-oh.
What's your preference?
I think dog owner's appropriate now that we have the shall the dog move, because it's known that the dog shall live within these constraints no matter where the dog lives within the town of Essex.
I agree. I think it needs to be dog owner, especially the property owner was not at fault, in my opinion.
And then I would just add in the event the dog / dog owner moves to a new address. Yeah, just to be clear, I don't know.
Do you want the number for animal control?
Yeah, please.
It's 878-8331.
Number 11 doesn't have a date.
8331.
Yes.
Correct.
11 doesn't have a date. Oh.
What is, I mean, again, Andy, you brought that up. Do you have a suggested?
It's in line with talking to a behavioral consultant, right? So it's a similar thing. This is consult with a veterinarian. So I guess it could be worded similarly, you know, whatever, however we said, I think we said outreach to a veterinarian to.
I think that could be done within by
The outreach, the discussion.
Yeah.
You know, can this breed of this dog at this age is it even a consideration? I think that's what you're saying, that it may be too late for this dog.
No, it's not too late to neuter the
You were
dog.
saying sometimes it's too early.
It may be too early.
Oh.
That's where the veterinary consult comes in.
Okay.
So I'd say end of the week. Unless anybody thinks that's too aggressive.
No, I'm good with that.
No, it just takes a call. Greg, if you don't mind, can you scroll to the top just so we can run down this? I think we're getting close. Number 3, effective meaning a 2-system barrier shall be put in place for the dog to not escape out an exterior door to the outside. Do we need escape out or just escape? It's fine. We can leave it.
Yeah, leave it.
So I can barely read anyway. So.
Do you want me to read them?
No, I'm reading them.
Oh, I can.
The grammar part is what gets me. So I'm like.
Yeah, the little dots. Effective immediately if anyone who is not a resident of the property is inside the home, the dog shall be muzzled and placed behind a 2-system barrier.
The only question I have with that one was with our muzzle requirement for. Didn't we create a separate one that the dog has to wear a muzzle at all times as soon as he's trained? So can we leave that in? Can we leave the muzzled part in that one when he's not trained yet?
We could put a parentheses once trained.
Right, we can't say.
Because we want that to be immediate.
Yeah, so I think we just say,
We say the dog shall be.
okay.
Anyone who is resident properties inside the home.
That's easier to read.
Wasn't, didn't we have something for outside the home for that too?
Number 7.
Yep. Right. But I think, can we go back to 4 real quick? I think the intent of 4 was to make sure that anybody who is not a resident of the home is not near the dog at this time. Whether that's inside or outside.
But it also adds the stipulation that once it's trained to be muzzled, it has to be muzzled also in the house.
Okay.
The other one says muzzled outdoors.
Outdoors. Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay.
So Joanne, is this an onerous list for you to go verify, or is it reasonable?
I'm sorry.
Is this an onerous list for you to go verify, or is this
The one
reasonable?
thing that we're missing is that the dog
It's
is
reasonable.
not to be
Okay.
outside
Yeah.
unattended.
Right.
Okay,
Do we have that?
Greg, did we put that as a clause in there? We have the
Leashed
2
at
barrier
all
system.
times when outside. Or
Okay, is that no, you're right, Greg, on 2. But is that clear that that means that the dog's not leashed to a tree? Would that be considered a run? Yeah, I think the important requirement, what I was trying to get for number 2 there, is that the dog is not to be outside unattended. We have it being leashed when outside, at all times when outside.
Right.
But I don't think
and-
that that's clear.
Yeah, I would, correct. You are correct, because that could be interpreted as, yeah,
A run.
tying it to chaining or tethering. So, yeah, I would clarify that.
With supervision. Just say supervision, maybe. Effective immediately. Dog must be leashed at all times
Yeah, I think that's a good clause.
when outside. With supervision and
unless.
no, but sorry, we're gonna have immediate requirement for 2 restraints, right?
We have that, where's those restraints?
That's what I was thinking we had.
Number 5, within 48 hours, the leash shall consist of 2 points of restraint, including a secured body harness and neck collar.
Okay.
Are you okay with this clause in number 2 unless inside the 2 system barrier?
Once,
Fenced.
yeah, because we created a boundary for that to be.
Yeah, that would be number 9.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
2 barrier.
It's just really important that we
No,
don't
we're
miss
doing this,
anything.
we're
today.
spending a lot of time on this for a good reason. I appreciate everyone's participation and focus on this.
Yeah, because I think 5 covers my fear of 2. Because leashing is now to be consisted of
That's how it's defined.
as defined. So I would just maybe put a thing in. No, you're good. You're good. Looks great.
So we have a ... at the end of the final condition.
Immediate forfeiture of the dog to the town of Essex. Or would you like it to say the town of Essex Animal Control?
I'm just curious, looking to the experts on this, usually with these type of agreements, what is the verbiage you use to say what the punishment will be? Or what will, if non-compliance happens, what happens? How do you word it in other such documents?
Was it turned over to you? Was it turned over to you in the village statement? Is that what we use? Can't remember.
I don't know either.
I believe if you do put in there that the dog would be turned over to animal control if they fail to comply with these, and at that point, if they fail to comply with that, that's when we would do the warrant, as we said.
Okay.
We'd apply for the warrant at that point. Because they can't, you don't want to turn it over to the town because you're going to turn it over to animal control anyway.
Okay.
So animal control would be the one to
Well,
comply
then
with the dog.
forfeiture to Essex Animal
Is
Control.
it surrender? Is that the term you use?
Surrender.
Okay.
This is
Which doc are you looking at?
I'm sorry. I had pulled up from the last time this issue came before the select board, the order
Thank
that
you.
was issued by the board. And so it was slightly different. But the language I was sort of pointing out to Greg includes a statement that says the dog shall be impounded by the Essex Police, and the Essex Town Select Board will reopen the potentially vicious dog hearing and modify the conditions of this order to include potentially barring these dogs from residing in Essex. I don't know if you want any of that. Part of that was just showing the last example.
I'm just digesting of the difference between that, my memory of that situation and this one.
Those were dogs at large.
Yeah, it's dog at large, right?
They weren't
Leaving
vicious.
leaving the property. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It
was
killed
vicious to
another animal.
another
Or
animal.
yeah.
Correct.
So I'm just trying to think about what Paul had described earlier about if the Essex Police and Animal Control take possession of the dog and bring it to the Humane Society, whereas this language talks about having another potentially vicious dog hearing, which does not would not result in what Paul had described earlier.
Right.
Just say impounded by the police.
Surrendered, yeah, to Essex Animal Control.
Just with that.
Apologies.
Joanne and Paul, are we missing anything that you can think of?
I don't think so.
Not that I can think of, yeah.
Okay. Board members, how are we doing?
We did good.
Yeah. Kendall's got his hand up.
Yeah.
Kendall, yes, please. Kendall, you're still on mute.
Thank you. Okay, just one.
Second, could you go down to the last one, please? Should there be a mention in here that if they don't comply with this, that they will go to animal control and action will be taken to euthanize the dog?
The authority to do that.
We don't. So what would we do? What would the authority? The police would do it. That's when it would start the whole court process?
That's your judge. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Joanne, were you responding to that, or?
No, I wasn't responding to him. I just was trying to.
Okay, I'll be
I
right
had
with
something
you.
else.
No, I think, Andy, you covered that. I think we need to leave it in the hands of the authorities.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Joanne.
Just for the collar, there's all types of collars out there, and the collar that Devin recommended in her statement is called a martingale collar, and it is a type of collar because it looks like a regular collar, but where the leash attaches, if the dog pulls, it tightens a little bit. It's not a prong collar, so it's not one of those metal prongs. But it's also a collar. A martingale collar is a collar that a dog can't slip their head through. So,
Okay.
and I know we put collar, but I'm wondering if we should
Specify.
that martin. Is it called a martingale?
Yeah, you've got that term. I'm looking at her recommendations.
Is there anything about the body harness? Does it just say
There's
body
not a
harness?
brand name for harness. They call it a. Sorry, excuse me.
As well as a harness. Okay. So harness is fine. Okay. Because Greg just added it to our within 48 hours. So that covers our leashing immediately on no unsupervision. And then within 48 hours, harness and the new martingale neck collar.
Are the such collars readily available to get within 48 hours? From your experience?
Yeah, I believe they're sold in.
Okay.
In
I'm just not familiar with that, but appreciate the description.
yeah, like Pet Food Warehouse.
Okay. I am.
So
what are next steps? Yeah.
I think next steps. Can you clarify? Is it we're looking for a motion to?
Yeah, I think you would
Accept
approve
these- approve these.
these conditions and direct staff to provide the dog owner with a letter of these conditions as soon as possible, which we will do tomorrow.
quick.
Ethan.
So, just really quick. Sorry to go down this again real quick, but the Friday, February 6th, are we thinking you would have availability to inspect the property on Friday?
Well, it depends on when Friday that is. If it's Friday,
This
end of day Friday.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I wanted
by-
to clarify before
Friday-
we moved
by-
on.
It says by Friday.
So Friday at noon, Friday at 3
Yeah, I
o'clock.
can look at my schedule
Okay.
and see what my availability is.
Because if
and
not, I would say we would change the date to Sunday, and then
Well, no, it specifies Friday. At
I know that.
Friday, so that means
Well, I know that.
anytime Friday after midnight, she could go up and check and say, "Where are your signs?"
Right.
So I think that specifies by Friday. So I
But my question is, we would like Joanne to go up on Friday if we were saying Friday or.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I don't have my schedule. in
Right.
front
No,
of
I
me,
know.
but
I'm sorry to
I
press
should-
you. I'm
Oh,
just
no, it's
bringing
okay.
this to attention
But, yeah.
that we should plan on.
Yeah, and if it's not Friday, I know I can do it Saturday.
Okay.
So
But are we comfortable with Friday, or should we put midday Friday? Noon
3
Friday.
p.m., noon, whatever.
I mean, quite honestly, I agree with what Paul is saying. If it says Friday, that means
Friday at
that
midnight.
means Thursday close of business type situation. Really, yeah.
Okay.
That's how I read such a clause.
So you're in compliance on Friday.
That's the way I understand it.
Installed
to be.
by Friday. Because a lot of times when I get things, with farming and the agricultural world, the date that they give you is end of day. So, just a heads up. I don't know what the legal definition of by date means. If it means midnight the day starts, or midnight the day ends.
Do you want to add a time?
I remember the legislature had this problem, right, with that last femtosecond of the.
Micro nanosecond. Or
Yeah.
Ethan, with that in mind, let's
I'm
be
sorry.
fair. What is the time you'd like on Friday?
I think noon Friday.
Okay.
Would be reasonable, and then that if Joanne has free time on Friday afternoon, great. If she doesn't, then Saturday. If not, then Monday. But
Sure. Greg, could you change this one? It
He's
says
doing
Friday to noon on Friday.
Thank you for being the scribe, Greg.
Yes. Well, the Englishman, right?
sorry, I'm just trying to make sure we don't miss anything.
There's no reason to apologize. This is important. I appreciate the detail. Andy.
I make the motion that the select board approve the conditions as defined during the meeting or during the deliberative session and direct staff to what is it? Provide a copy to the dog owners by end of business tomorrow.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Mr. Haddock, for coming.
Could I make one comment?
Sure. Would you come up to the mic real quick?
Sure. Having been in a lot of meetings, not quite like this, but I appreciate that your deliberations were made in open session rather than executive session. I think that's better for us. And I appreciate the diligence with which you went about the deliberations. I realize it's a tough situation when you have somebody who wants to keep a dog and somebody been chewed up by that dog. I would say, if that had been one of our 110-pound elderly volunteers for Meals on Wheels, this would be a level 6 dog bite, without a doubt. And having practiced medicine for 45 years in the emergency room and family medicine, I've never seen a dog bite nearly this bad. So, and I realize and I have to admit, I'm disappointed that the owner hasn't put the dog down. Nobody I know on the farms, anywhere else, whose dog does anything like this to anyone, would keep that dog around. But I appreciate your work. Thank you very much, and you took a lot of time with it.
Well, thank you, and I hope you heal quickly.
Take care, Joe.
Somebody's brought a guitar.
Moving on to business item 6B. Thank you for sticking with us. Please come forward. And thank you, members of the Animal Control and Police, for being here. Welcome. I understand we have a great presentation tonight.
A little bit, yeah. So Sean and I are here tonight to talk about the ADA assessment, the ADA site assessment that was done at the library in September. And we really appreciate that the select board has been so interested in learning more about the study. And it is really great to see that there is so much interest and commitment to accessibility in the town. So that is really nice to see. The town has so many excellent resources, and greater accessibility will make it so that more members of the public have access and can benefit from these resources. And one of these excellent resources is the Essex Free Library. With the $7,500 that was approved to put towards accessibility improvements for the library, we'll be able to make a lot of positive changes. So thank you for your support with that. The library, we're a highly used building. We serve the entire community, and that's people from different backgrounds, different incomes, and different physical abilities. So having this accessibility study done was a really good opportunity for us to make sure we can make the space as welcoming as possible and accommodating as possible. So one of the greatest purposes of a library is to provide access, and that can be access to computers, to the internet, to books and services. With access at the heart of libraries, it's important that the library building itself also be accessible. So onto the details of the study. With funds from a grant with the Municipal Energy Resilience Program, Sean coordinated a site visit with the Vermont Center for Independent Living Community Access team. They came to visit the library. We walked through the library with them, and they identified some problematic areas. Our library the building was built in 1840 and renovated in the late 1980s. So we knew that there would be some accessibility issues that would need to be addressed. Sean and I greeted the team in the parking lot and immediately learned that the parking or accessible parking spot did not meet ADA requirements. So that is one issue that Sean and Public Works will be resolving in the warmer weather. We knew there would be some concerns about the accessible entrance. We have made all the improvements that we can. We try to make it as accommodating as possible, but it is not the ideal setup. Ideally, you would want, up for a building like Essex Free, you'd want everybody to be able to enter through the same universal accessible entrance, ideally at the front of the building. Not possible in our building at this time, so we do direct people who want to use who need to use the accessible entrance. We direct them to the back entrance of the building. And right now, our current setup is that the person using the accessible entrance has to press the doorbell. A member of the library staff has to run down, open the door for them, hold the door open for them, and try to help them navigate through a pretty tight space. So the access team mentioned having an intercom system that was strongly recommended. So Sean has been working on getting an intercom system set up for us as a temporary fix. They just asked that we post the library's phone number on a sign outside the door, so that would give two-way communication between the library user and the library staff member. There were a couple other issues with the accessible entrance that Sean is working on. Threshold was too high in the doorway, and the entrance walkway, there's a drain that's not flush with the sidewalk. So a couple of, I think, somewhat easy fixes. Throughout the building, there were some protruding objects. Sean went ahead and moved some fire extinguishers around, so he got right on that. There was some talk about the bookshelves in the main area. Between the stacks, there's not a lot of room for a wheelchair to maneuver in that space, and there's also a lot of books to reach, and not everybody can reach all parts of the shelves. So we simply put up some signage that says, ask for help if you need it. The staff is happy to help. So those posters are all over the library now. We also changed up some of our permanent signage and made sure that they are at the right height level for that ADA requires. So Sean went and measured all of the heights. The most surprising part of the study for me was to learn that other than the folding white tables that we take out for library programs, no other table or public workstation in the building was ADA compliant. So to be ADA compliant, they have to be at least 27 inches off the ground so that a wheelchair can be under the table. And all of ours, I believe, are at 26. So we're looking towards, we're looking at different tables to replace those. So we're looking for 8 ADA compliant tables right now. And other than that, we are more widely advertising now that we're happy to bring books out to people's cars if they're not able to get into the building. And there was, I believe, some insulation needed on the pipes in the public restroom. But overall, it was a really great exercise, I think, for the library. We learned a lot. We're now going to be able to make a lot of improvements and make the space more accommodating and accessible to people.
Thank you so much. Sean, anything to add?
No, I think she got just about everything.
That was very thorough. Absolutely. Great. I'll turn it over to the select board for questions.
Kendall's
hand is up. Kendall, start us off once you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you.
Stupid question from me. the tables are 1 inch below the 27 inches. Is there any way that that table or those tables could be modified to pick up that extra inch of height? Just a thought.
Well, the issue is that the height of the table, so the tabletop actually meets requirements. There's a lip below the tables that makes it so that the wheelchair can't fit. So structurally, I don't think it's the best decision to cut pieces of tables off. If we can get tables that are specifically ADA accessible, I think that's just ideal. The tables that we've been looking at are the ones that are actually the adjustable legs. So they are definitely accessible rather than sawing off part of the wood table.
Well noted. I wasn't suggesting that you would just take a hacksaw to it, but I know that we have some very skilled carpenters in town and stuff, that it might be more cost effective to have a woodworker modify the table versus buying new ones. But it was just a thought. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kendall. Ethan.
I have a quick question about the accessible entrance, the one about the intercom. So my, I don't know if it's a concern, but my suggestion there would be, have we looked into any intercom system that could be tied into a remotely locked handicap door? So that way you could unlock the handicap door, they can press the button, come in, and use the elevator.
That's
what we're looking at?
Yeah,
okay,
that is.
thank you. That's all I needed to know.
So,
Because when I saw the part about the buzz-in system, I'm like, hopefully there's an automatic door and that works.
We would still either, so my understing of the intercom system
You'd have to
is
talk first.
We would be able to,
you'd be able to see them and potentially.
And then we would buzz them in. The door won't automatically open, so we may still need the staff to come and hold it for someone if they're not accompanied with someone. I think the button, that could be an add-on. Is that?
We
because these could,
So
kind of like
this
what we
is-
have here on the front.
Exactly. Only it would be remote control. So the system that's gonna go in on the back door
Electric
is
lock.
very similar to what you see at almost any public school now. You know,
Right.
you go up, press the button, look in the camera, I'm here to pick up, blah, 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 they hit the button. The only part of that system that's not intact in this package is the actual automatic door opener, which will come later.
Yep.
Can just be put on.
Well, and one of the issues also is that the door comes out. So if someone is buzzing to be let in, the door would,
Have the buzzer on the side that the door opens.
it's
Well,
a
there's
tight,
two doors. There's the outside door, and then you're in a little alcove, and then there's another door. So
Yeah,
both doors
it's-
wouldn't be able to swing at the same time.
So you potentially need a stand, kind of like you drive up, because out here, right, the door swings out.
The pedestal, yep.
So the pedestal's out off the door, 3-4 feet, whatever it is, right out in the front. So that way when you press the button, it gives time for the door to open.
Mhm.
And then you can, but where the pedestal is to press the button is in the clear. So maybe that's where your intercom video system would be, not on the building directly. Something to think about. But that could all be one swift motion. Because I was thinking about it when I walked in here tonight after reading this. And I said to myself, hey, this is perfect example. There's a pedestal off the building. So just something to think about. I think that we could really, before we spend money on doing part of this, for a little bit more money, we could really make this something special.
well, so the intercom system there's been work done. It is in the process, because not just in response to this study, we've also had some security concerns. So that kind of expedited this process. So there will be the intercom system that you're thinking through. I think that the button can be added, and then we just, I think.
Yeah. All great stuff. Nice work.
On this topic, How long are people waiting right now out? I know that there's usually 2 staff on site, sometimes more. How long does it usually take for somebody if they hit the, or call you or whatever?
We usually try to run down as fast as we can, especially right now. There's always the chance that if they don't press it hard enough right now, that they.
I know you're doing the best you can. I was just curious.
Yeah, or if I'm working with someone at the desk, I mean, I'll do my best to get down as fast as possible. Because
is the area they'd be waiting in covered?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Andy.
I neglected to disclose that my wife is the chair of the library trustees, so.
Thank you.
But given this is just a discussion, I think I can act without conflict of interest. I know you had applied for a grant to make the front entrance ADA compliant and did not receive the grant. Is that something that comes around again that you'll have another opportunity to apply for, or is it not likely?
I do not that. So they do have, as far as I know, there's not going to be one just like that again. There is one available for very rural communities that we're too big. We're not really a good match for.
Right.
But we will certainly
keep an eye out.
Yeah. Definitely.
And the other thing is, I wanted to mention that we did approve fund balance to pay for the new tables. So those should be they have a funding source.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's listed on your list as FY27. So I'm glad to hear that's moving forward.
Okay.
Yes.
Another one. Yeah. And Sean, I thought, did this grant cover just the library? Was it additional buildings included in this?
It was just the library. It was a mini MERP.
Okay. Okay. I thought I had heard that it was multiple buildings were being covered.
No, but a
Okay.
good side effect that came from it was all the knowledge of ADA that we've been tossed into in the last couple of months. The town now has 243, I believe, page ADA assessment that we can take into any building
Okay.
anywhere.
Okay. So it was a learning experience with regard to things could be applicable to other places. Great.
Great. People that have been in construction, I mean, everyone 36-inch doors, yay, sure, that's great, but there's so much more that, average people don't even notice.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Height of a toilet paper roll.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Grab rails next to
It's very in-depth.
That's a builder.
It's a great assessment that I look forward to using in the other buildings.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the select board? Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. Really appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you.
Any public? Oh, we missed public.
Oh, sorry. Please come back for 1 second. Is there any public comment on this?
I don't see any hands online.
No hands online, no hands in the room.
No.
Thank you again. Okay. Thank you, Andy. Moving on to business item B. C, as in cow. Discussion about rules and regulations by orderly conduct of business and communications policy. Greg, you want to give an overview of this one?
Sure. So just wanted to give the board an opportunity to touch base on how you want to handle some stuff going forward over the next month and a half, 2 months, when you're at 4 members without a chair. Rules and regulations for orderly conduct of business, communications policy are 2 that come up pretty regularly. For instance, they talk about the chair is the one that runs the meeting. Obviously, in the absence of the chair, the vice chair or the clerk can step up. Communications policy, typically the chair will speak on behalf of the select board if you get emails, if there's a public media request, stuff like that. The communications policy does say that unless the board designates another person to have that responsibility. So just as you've gotten emails from residents, comments have come in, just figured it was an opportunity to touch base, make sure you're all on the same page. Andy, you pointed out the charter, I think it is, or in the charter it says that the chair presides over everything, or the vice chair in the chair's absence. So I don't think that any of the stuff is in conflict, but there's a couple different ways to interpret it. So just figured it was a decent chance for the board to make sure you all have the same shared understanding about how you want to handle stuff in the next 2 months.
Thank you. Board members, what is your pleasure?
Do you need a formal motion, or are you
This
confident
is,
with the designation of the vice chair being the chair and the clerk being the vice chair? Because I'll happily do either. But we kind of discussed that the first time when Tracy stepped down, and that we were all on the same page with. But I'll make a motion to.
I'm not sure that a motion is needed. I think
says
that
designate.
the reason that I believe this was brought up, and I'll turn it over to Kendall in a second. He brought this up, and I believe he put this on here because he wanted to talk about, especially public comment. In the last meeting, Kendall was taking public comment, and then after all the public comments had happened, one of our board members said we should respond to some of these. And I think he brought it up saying, how do we want to handle that situation, and things like that. Am I correct, Kendall? Is that why you wanted this on the agenda?
Yes, exactly. I feel that we're all a team and
We don't have a formal chair. So I definitely don't know everything, and I appreciate all the members when they chime in and know more things than I do on particular items. So I just wanted to make sure that that was acceptable with everybody. I don't know if that makes much sense.
I don't think this was about, needing a motion to get, that shift of roles and responsibilities that we're doing. I think it's more so, Kendall wanted to pose this question.
Kendall, it's Ethan, but you are under the impression you're the acting chair currently, correct?
Not tonight.
yes.
Not tonight because
Not
you're
tonight.
under the weather, but Kendall, excuse me, Shannon's our acting vice chair. That's my understanding, and I'm comfortable with that. But I'm happy if we need formal, informal, however, maybe for the time being.
If I could jump in, I think it's important. I like how a lot of times in the last meeting, in particular, when Andy said, hey, can we respond to some of these public comments, we gave space for that. And I think that especially when people come up, Tracy used to do a very good job of, getting some response from staff and things like that, and at least trying to close the loop as much as possible. And if not, saying, we will get you an answer to this issue. I think that it takes a lot to sit down there and speak before the board, and I would hope that stepping away from the chairmanship and speaking purely as a member of this board, that with Kendall, you as chair, if there is an opportunity that Andy has knowledge or Ethan has knowledge or I have an input, that we could during the public comment be called upon by the chair to respond. Andy.
And I did ask permission.
Yeah, no, you did a
I
great
asked
job.
permission
No,
to
no,
respond. And I think that's the way it should be. It should be that, and yes, the chair is running the meeting and recognizes who the chair chooses to recognize to speak. And so that's why I specifically asked whether I could respond.
Yeah, you're very good at following Robert's rules. And
it's also, I'm not, it's hard to bring this up because I'm not trying to brag that I did it the right way. I'm just trying, I just wanted to, as an example to anybody else, that I think asking permission of the chair to speak is the appropriate way to go. And I'm totally comfortable with Kendall as acting chair and Shannon, you being acting as vice chair. But if we want to rename your titles, we have to have another organizational meeting and actually vote, nominate and vote. So I don't think that's necessary. I think we can go on this way. And I know there was at least one email where there was a comment made that wasn't responded to. And typically, if an email is addressed to all five of us, our practice, it's not a policy, but it's a practice, is that the chair responds. But we were kind of between chairs at that point. So I think some responses may have been missed. And I think that was, and I don't know if that's part of the concern here as well.
I think that's a valid point to bring up. I know that, a lot of times there are members of the community that write to the whole select board, and I think it is important or a response to be had. And Tracy did a very good job in her role of chair, taking it on as her responsibility of, getting them response, and just saying, listen, she gave them at least factor, said like, come to the meeting or something like that. There was a close the loop, and I think that was well received. I don't believe it's in our communications policy that that's a responsibility of the chair. Is that correct, Greg?
I believe it's in the communications policy that does speak to the chair typically responds on behalf of the board. I'll try to find that exact language if you bear with me. Oh, Karen's got it.
It's on the top of page 2, and it says official communication related to a board, committee, or commission should be through the chair or other member designated by the body.
Okay.
And so we I'm sorry.
No, please, Andy.
We can't all respond to an email because then it becomes an open meeting violation. And so it's at least been our practice, and depending on how you interpret the language that's in our communications policy, it does say that the chair is the official spokesperson. And so that's why we've been handling that, although it's not explicitly stated that only the chair will respond to emails that are addressed to the entire select board. And maybe it's something we can discuss at our next organizational meeting, or it can be discussed. I shouldn't say we, I might not be here.
No, I think that's a valid point. Kendall, as the residing chair normally, do you feel comfortable taking that lead for the next 2 months and following in Tracy's example of responding to emails when they are addressed to everybody?
Yes, I was just,
Wanted to make sure there was some clarity on that, and that folks were okay in the meeting that occasionally speak up, because I don't have all the answers for some of the comments. So we should be all set then. Thank you for your time.
Great. Anything else on this? Let's move on to D. Consider approval of town meeting outreach materials. Greg, I will turn it over to you and the staff to present.
All right, we previewed this a little bit at your last meeting with the select board members. It's going to be Shannon and Kendall doing the outreach, and so Andy and Ethan are on the ballot. We always try to put out some information for voters to help them understand what's on the ballot for a town meeting. This is something that the select board members can hand out at your outreach event. It's also information that we would put up online to help give people some resources. What's presented to you tonight is a copy of the town meeting warning, voter information notice that is required to accompany the warning, a flyer about the town showcase in the informational hearing happening on Monday, March 2nd, and a series of question and answer sheets about the items on the ballot. There's the operating budget for fiscal year 27, human services funding, one Q&A that talks about the 2 questions about the proposed municipal complex at 80 and 90 Upper Main Street, and a Q&A about the voter-backed petition to change the number of seats on the Development Review Board. In addition to what's in the packet, what's in front of you today, Andy had made a couple of suggestions after these went out, so proposed some language to discuss tonight. One of those is in the operating budget for fiscal year 27, just adding a line about the capital tax, and that the capital tax, the amount collected would increase with the increase of value of a home or a property. So it's still 5 cents, but 5 cents on a $250,000 home is different than 5 cents on a $500,000 home. With the Upper Main Street complex, the couple of changes there. Question number 7, a note that private developers may end up paying some portion of the infrastructure costs. And also an additional question and answer about what would happen to the to the existing town buildings if new buildings were constructed at 80 and 90 Upper Main Street. Happy to take feedback on any of those and any of the other Q&As. Human services funding is pretty straightforward. It's largely just what we used last year about that question. The question about the Development Review Board also talks about the voter-backed petition. It doesn't get too much into why that petition went out there, because staff is not aware. We didn't want to speculate, but we tried to provide some information about why that question is on the ballot, what the makeup of the DRB looks like right now, and how voter-backed petitions work. So hopefully we hit the mark, but as always, happy to take feedback and make any adjustments that you'd like to see.
Thank you. I appreciate the time and effort the staff has put into all of these. I find them, as a voter of Essex, very useful that they're available ahead of time as well as at the voting polling stations. I think what's best is for us to go through each of these pieces and just make sure that we, the board, are on board with what is presented. Starting with the town meeting warning document. If we could get this on the screen, that'd be great. But I think these are official documentations that I think is important to get passed by the select board and approval. So beginning with the official warning. Andy.
We approved this last week.
Okay.
So you can't.
Okay.
Can't change it.
Sorry. It's what are the documents? It's the 3 handouts. It's the question answers. Those are the ones we need to approve. Is that correct?
Correct. It'd be certainly any feedback you have for the flyer about the town showcase. The first 2 are set.
Can we
Okay.
Can we raise any questions we have instead of going through them all?
I do think for the Q&A ones, we need to at least say they're good. And then the questions about specific ones is important. Are there any problems with the flyer? The town showcase flyer?
If you could, thanks. I'll get the Q&As ready.
Great. Let's move on from the flyer. Let's move on to the operating budget Q&A. That's the one we have here as well as it was in the packet.
Do you have the? Let me pull it up with the track change.
I only have one problem, and I have it with both documents, and it's how come there's no mention on how to get your annual report from the town.
We're still going to be mailing it to every household.
We are.
Charter's not been approved. Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you, legislator, taking your time. That's next year problem.
Good question or good thought for next year.
I think it does say in there that it should be in your mailbox by a certain date. I thought
It does. I think it was. You're right.
Did I miss it?
Yeah. First bullet point, 3rd paragraph. The proposed budget will publish in the town annual report, which is expected to arrive in mailboxes by February 21st.
Okay. Perfect. I was looking.
Do you need another clause in there if you want to?
Nope. I was looking deeper. And I thought we had to request them this year, so I'm double wrong.
No. Okay.
So I have no problems at all.
That's a first.
Yeah, I know, right?
Andy, yes.
And just to put some words around why I asked for the change on number 8 of the budget one. Right. It says that the question is, how will completing the townwide reappraisal affect my tax rate? And then the language that was there says that it'll equal out because it's your appraisal doesn't change the budget and the tax rate will go down. I just wanted to make it clear in here that the specific 5-cent tax will stay a 5-cent tax. That won't change, and so just wanted to include in there that it will move proportionately with your assessment change. So
I think that's a good add. Kendall, do you have any issues with that language he added or suggested adding to the fiscal year budget document?
Nope, sounds good. Good catch.
Is there any public comment on the initial packet, proposed fiscal year 2027 budget Q&A? Yes. Ken, come on up.
Good evening, Ken Signorello. So I'm taking a look at the component for the DRB petition. And I just want to point out to you that staff did not read.
Ken, we're going to go one by one. We're on the budget.
I'm sorry, the budget? Okay, I'll just wait then.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on hands online about the budget packet? Great. Shall we move on to the second Q&A? The human services packet. It was identical to last year, to be honest. The only thing I actually liked about this more than last year was that you actually had the who's been funded in the past. I think that was really nice to showcase what we did last year. Seeing no board member comments, are there any public comments about the Health and Human Services contributions funding Q&A? Seeing none in the room, seeing none online. Moving on to the ones I'm sure we'll have some comments on. We'll start with the Upper Main Street. I'm just going down the list, Ken. Sorry, I'm not trying to.
No worries.
This is the one we also had additions to. Are the packet materials updated so people can see it?
The packet has not been, but I've got it pulled up here.
Okay, great, thank you. So this is the 8980 Upper Main Street Q&A packet that will be available as a resource.
One can't be changed. Oops, sorry.
Andy, yes.
I just wanted to talk about the ones the changes that I had requested, give you some explanation, I guess.
Thank you.
I've heard the $88 million number bandied around a few times. I just wanted to make it clear that if you look at the phase, the orange and the red phase includes
the housing.
Developer of future development lots as a potential funding source, and so those are the portions of the property that we would either sell or lease to a developer to build, and that they would certainly be contributing to the infrastructure associated with whatever they develop. So I wanted the line was added about private developers paying a portion of the infrastructure cost for that. The other change I asked for is where'd it go?
Number 9, I think.
Was there's a whole new section added? Where did it go? Yeah, number 9. Yeah. So I've on Front Porch Forum there was I saw a comment from somebody about we don't need 2 libraries, and just wanted to make it clear that that's not the intent, that we wouldn't be building a second library. It would be a replacement library, and that we wouldn't just be adding buildings, we would be also shedding some of the buildings. And so when I brought this up, I think Greg, you said that this section had already been drafted and decided was removed, and I just asked that it be put back in to clarify what's going to happen to our existing building. Like, we're going to likely sell this building. We have no need to have a second office building outside of our town.
Thank you. No, I think it's important to have as many questions answered that might be asked. So I appreciate you raising that. Ethan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm good. I just want to make sure I was getting my annual report.
Oh, sure. No, I know this is a important issue to you.
That is very important to me. Okay.
Yes. Kendall, any further thoughts either on Andy's suggested additions or the document as a whole?
That was a
Good catch. This will help a lot of folks hopefully understand that the price is just a proposed potential, that there will be some cost savings. So thank you.
Great. I'll open public comments on the question and answers for 8090 Upper Main Street proposed municipal complex ballot initiatives. No one in the room? Anyone online? Great. Let's move on to number 4. Ann, did you raise your hand? Great. Ann Miller?
Yeah, sorry. I was slow there on the hand. Someone who lives in a different municipality was saying to me that it's sometimes the case that the town sells off its land to developers at less than market rates, because it's like a way of it's not a way of maximizing return for residents, but it's certainly a way of giving a nice deal to developers. And I just wonder if there's any thoughts about how that land would be sold off if it was sold. I'm sorry, the dog was paging me at this very moment. how that land would be sold off, when the time comes.
I know that this is a topic that would be many years down the road, but do you have any history you can share about how that policy is done previously in Essex?
Sure, and I'm not aware of any examples in Essex, either for or against that type of situation. I don't want to speak for other municipalities. I think, well, I guess I should start by saying there are no plans at this point as to how to sell that land or what to sell that land at or who to sell it to. I think those are conversations that would happen down the road. Is it possible for a municipality to sell land or lease it at a lower than market rate? Yes. Hopefully, theoretically, there would be some other benefit to the town. Is it going to move it more quickly? Is it going to meet town plan goals such as affordable housing, building the grand list, bringing in a business that the town wants, stuff like that? So none of those conversations have been had other than to think about what the town might do with that land that it does not plan to develop. But as far as how to make that happen, I think that's a ways out to have that conversation.
All right, I just want to raise the issue. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Ann.
Greg.
Any other public comments online? Okay, now let's move on to number 4, the Q&A about the DRB petition. We'll start with board comments. Andy.
I think it's a good idea to keep it neutral. I think it's a good presentation of what needs to be said.
Ethan.
And it mentions that the DRB currently has 7 members.
Thank you.
So it really there's not much more else we could say or not say.
Kendall, any thoughts?
Looks good.
Public comment, Mr. Signorello.
Once again, Ken Signorello. I would like to note that staff did not reach out to any of the 7 members that presented the petition to find out what the rationale was. So, of course, they would not be able to include any of that in the Q&A. We do have a press release that we sent out, and we could certainly send that along. But all I really would ask, before I would make that request, I'm going to just note that on the previous question, there was a tremendous amount of detail that was provided about the rationale for the questions that are on the ballot regarding the 80 and 90 Upper Main Street. So all I would ask really is at the soup, what is it called, the presentation?
The soup night.
Soup night. We'd be allowed to put up a table and present to anybody walking by why it is that question is on the ballot. I think that would be fair and reasonable opportunity for us to make the case.
Thank you very much. Greg, in the past when we've had, Ken, if you could just stay there for a second. In the past when we've had citizen-led petitions come forth on that presentation night, when the ballot initiative or the ballot item is up for being presented to the voters, do we ever give them the floor or anything, accommodations that have been made in the past?
I'm not aware of the request having come in the past. I know Tammy and Kate organized a lot of that. They have some criteria as to who they allow to put up tables or offer tables to, just because space can be limited. So I can check with them. Happy to see what's on that list. Happy to bring it back to you for your February meeting and see if that's something you want to adjust if it's not in there, or if you want to make it an accommodation this go round.
Ethan.
Question for you. So, any select board members who are up for election don't hand out materials regarding town meeting because we're on the ballot.
Reasonable.
Would you presume that you also would not be at the table?
We have 6 other folks that can man the table, no problem.
Okay. Well, it's a
I
very valid
I
point
just caught on what
to
you were
raise.
saying.
Very reasonable.
So.
Great. I think we'll get back to you on your question.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any additional comments from the public about the citizen-led petition Q&A? Okay. Bring it back to the board. Do we need to officially approve these? Yeah.
Yeah, I make the motion that we approve the outreach materials for town meeting 2026.
Is there a second?
As edited?
As edited.
As edited.
Second.
Second by Ethan. All those in favor of approving the materials as outreach materials as edited, say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. That brings us to E. Consider preliminary approval of the fundraising and donation policy.
I'm happy to start us off here. So Karen Adams, Deputy Manager. This first came to you in your December 1st, I believe, reading file. One of the goals of the board was to explore a fundraising and donations policy as part of our policy work this year. So this was drafted to try to recognize the various activities departments or commissions or others may wish to do on behalf of the town. The goal was to go to each of the committees if needed, or make sure that there was an opportunity for each committee to comment on the policy. I was out last week and wasn't able to connect with Greg, that I wasn't able to attend the library meeting. They did invite me, but there was an issue with the warning, so the meeting had to be canceled. So I would love if tonight we could get some feedback on anything that you see that's concerning or you would like to see, but I don't think preliminary approval would be appropriate because there's some pieces missing that should be included. So I'll offer that up.
I appreciate that. I'll throw it to the board for discussion. Well, I had a comment. Section 5 talks about acknowledgement and receipt. And I was surprised to see that the way it reads, I don't believe that all donations that are provided receive a receipt. I would hope that it talks about a transactional receipt for anything under 1,000. It talks about a thank you note of appreciation for anything above 1,000. I personally was curious as to why that was the policy and the differentiation. You know, if people were giving a gift to the town, I would hope that we're both giving them records as well as, you know, thanking them.
Sure. So that number could be whatever the board's wish is. In consulting with staff, it was noted that there's quite often small donations that are received. An example was the scholarship program for the Parks and Rec Fund. Folks are often rounding up 16 cents, 18 cents.
Sure.
So while the number may be wrong, I would suggest a threshold, just to respect the effort to appreciate the gift.
Certainly.
Yeah. So could be whatever. Other things that kind of fall into this category are each year the clerk runs a donation process for the dog licenses. So they solicit local businesses and say, would you be willing to donate a dog toy or some similar type of thing? Not to suggest those aren't worthy of thank you, but those are the types of gifts that were considered when that language was being drafted.
I saw Andy out of the corner of my eye, and then I'll go to Ethan.
Yeah, and at the, what do we call that day that we were all out in the field?
Community Day?
Community Day, sorry. We have a big jar out and people throw coins in it or dollars, or that would be onerous to say, no, wait a minute, what's your name? I got to write you a receipt.
Sure.
So yeah, I think there needs to be a threshold on that. I agree.
I think a threshold is important. I was just surprised at the 4-digit number versus, I believe, you know, thinking about other things that affect us. I recognize there's people here that are running on this board. You know, $200 is, you know, usually or something like that level of campaign financial requirements are a certain level. I would think that if we're acknowledging receipt of it, we should be at a similar public recorded level of acknowledgement. $1,000 just seemed high. Ethan, you had your hand up.
Two things really quick. Line 77 does say any funds received by donation will be run through the town's established process for cash receipts. So I don't know what the town's established process for cash receipts is, but that's something to follow up and look at. And then, me personally, we do a lot of stuff with youth sports in the community, for sponsorship and like programming, stuff like that. $250 is kind of minimum threshold. You know, they do a lot of programs do tiered programs, so it's like 250, 500, 1,000, 2,000. But maybe we could set some sort of thank you system through the town of Essex where we set a threshold, a donation threshold, a tier system where we have a certain level of, okay, if you donate $250, you get a thank you letter signed from the select board or whatever. If you donate 500, you get a whatever. If you donate 1,000, or if you donate 2,000, maybe you get a thank you plaque. It's a piece of wood with a little engraved. I don't know. I'm just saying, there's a option here to make this I don't have the words, but to have like a set of tiers where you thank them of different greatnesses. Sorry if that made no sense.
No, I mean, I get what you're getting at, and I think that's a valid thing. Karen, do you policy have an idea?
I could certainly ask staff and come up with some recommendations at the next meeting.
Would that?
Yeah, I know there's going to be some sort of cost associated with it, so I'm thinking obviously small things that,
sure,
you know, emailed or printed letter of
sure
of us or anything, just something to acknowledge that there's.
Andy, I see your hand. We'll go to you first, and then Kendall. I haven't forgotten about you.
Are you going to be first, or you want
Yeah, I chose you first. Then.
So two things. This section 5 says over 1,000 you get a personalized letter. Below 1,000 you get a form letter. I think that's what it's saying. So you do get an acknowledgement both ways. It just says that over 1,000 is an individualized message of appreciation. Below 1,000, it's a generic thank you kind of thing. It's a form letter.
I thought it was just transaction receipt meant like, just a number saying you donated this. I'm just curious what that language means. If it's a form letter, I'm okay with that.
I'm using form letter, but I don't know if that's really the right thing to call it. But it seems that's the way I'm reading that. The thing about a tiered, you get this for that, you get this for that. Where do you stop? Because at some point we got to decide whether or not to accept money to put somebody's name on a building.
$100,000.
Right, and so that's probably not the discussion we want to have now in this first one, right?
Sure.
And so that's where I'm wondering whether that's a discussion for another time. But I don't know.
No, I think these are good points. Kendall, I see your hand online.
Yeah, Andy just touched
On what I was going to mention, that I like Ethan's tiered approach, specifically because there's a lot of places in municipalities and stuff where they don't put the person's name on the building per se, but they'll have a plaque or something that will acknowledge that a building was, I don't know what the word is, helped by the generous donations of, and then they'll list them, and it's a separate notification. It's not part of the building itself. It's just letting, there are a lot of people that donate that they like to just be recognized that they donated. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
That's a valid point. Andy.
We could do bricks on the sidewalk. We could do,
Exactly.
There's a long list of things, potential things, and I'm hesitant to tie all that into this thing because I'd like to get this thing approved without all that extra baggage, and then we can talk about the extra baggage at some point when it's relevant. It's just what I'm thinking. But
thank you. And Ethan.
Well, I was just gonna say real quick because I know this is just for discussion and give Karen some feedback, but this is a policy. Policies can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is accurate.
Somewhere's to start.
Other board comments? We'll move to public. Ken.
Hi, Ken Signorello again. I just want to make you aware that the Conservation and Trails Committee wanted to do something along these lines. We've received a donation from Horsford Nursery now 4 years in a row. 4 trees. The last one was an $800 retail value. That's the one that's planted at Sand Hill Park. And one of our members suggested that we buy a plaque and put in the ground next to the tree so that person looking at the tree would realize this was donated by Horsford Nursery. And staff told us that that wasn't going to be possible. There was a policy that prevented that. And the person that wanted to do it withdrew the whole effort and didn't want to pursue it any longer. So I'm not sure if there is such a policy. I was just told it, and so I'm going on hearsay at this point. And I think it would be nice to be able to recognize a physical thing that was donated by a company. And if you could make that adjustment, that would be great. We would then pursue that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Staff, is there a policy that stops us from doing such an act right now?
I'll have to look into that.
And if there is, would this then supersede that?
Perhaps I'd have to see what that is.
Okay. If we could follow up, that'd be great.
Sure.
I got my hand up again.
Andy.
Sorry, those comments just reminded me that we also have folks have purchased benches, memorial benches that are in our parks too. So I don't want to, right? It's a little odd that we have these little things that are going on that I don't want this to prevent, right? So, because it does say in here that employees can't participate in fundraising events without permission of the manager.
Yep.
And what does that mean? Like the library does their book sale, Parks and Rec and Public Works both contribute to that effort. Do we need to have a process? Are we making this just too big now? Thinking about all these other things that could be affected by this little policy.
These are important questions to think about at this point in time.
Technically speaking, we're employees also. So the wording may not be their best. Good discussion, though.
Any other comments? Is there anything else online about this? Not seeing any. Is there? What is the board's pleasure?
I think Karen asked that we not approve it.
I agree with Karen, but she's not the board, so I'm just making sure we're okay with that. Moving on then. That brings us to the reading file, if I'm not mistaken.
No. F?
Isn't that executive session?
If we want to have executive session.
Sure. All right. Brings us to F, which is discussion about annual evaluation of the town manager. Andy.
So what's the intent of this? Is it to talk about process, or is it to actually talk about evaluation? I don't.
This would be actually talking about the evaluation. So I recommend you go into executive session.
Okay. I didn't know if it was because sometimes we have discussions about, okay, how are we going to do this in public? And I wasn't sure whether that's what it was or whether it's actually, okay.
No, this is to actually talk about the evaluation itself.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Question to that, though. Shouldn't we talk about just having somebody start putting something together so we have something to talk about in session? Everybody's already done their reviews. So there's nothing to discuss without somebody forming a letter.
I can speak to that, preferably in executive session.
Is it something it's not public besides the?
Well, you should have the results. You should have the results of the
We
evaluation, and then
by-
you discuss how you want to.
We got it.
Yeah.
I don't have the results of the.
Of everybody's.
No.
I believe that. I don't know what it is. Kathy Conrad, Friday at 1:30 at, I can't see the time, but she sent it to the select board members that the evaluations.
The evaluations, yeah, I completed the evaluation, but I haven't seen the
She
results.
just compiled it all together and sent it to us. That's all we've been sent.
I copied on that?
Yes.
Oh, and there it is. Okay. I wasn't asked to do anything with it, so I didn't even look at it. So I don't know.
No,
I
there
didn't
was
know
no,
that.
directive. You're correct. I was just please reach out if you have any questions.
So,
Okay.
so what is the point of the executive session?
It would be for all of you to talk about the results of the evaluation and how you want to move forward with those.
But there's clear guidelines on how to move forward with them, so it's about somebody to compel a letter to get all of our thoughts based on what's in there. So
I've not been part of the executive sessions in the past, but my understanding is that you've reviewed the results, talked about the results as a board, and then I believe it's the chair and or vice chair together work on drafting a letter to bring back to all of you for review. I thought that part of drafting that letter was based on discussion that you had about the evaluation, but again, I'm speculating because I've not been part of those conversations.
Andy, you've been in a couple of those. Is that the policy, the practice that usually happens?
So,
You've been 11.
so we've generally had discussion in open session about how we're going to go forward, and it's often you have the results, take a look at them. We're going to talk about them in executive session in some future meeting. So, because I haven't looked at these, so I'm not prepared to talk about what's in there. Other than perhaps my own comments, but I think they're supposed to be anonymous, or are they? I don't know.
They are. They took them anonymous.
And so I haven't looked at anybody else's comments. I haven't. So I don't. And then well, what we've often done is in open session authorize the chair to put together a summary of the evaluation results to be discussed by the board in executive session, and then we authorize in public the chair to review the. We have sometimes the whole board wants to be there, but typically it's been the chair having a meeting with the manager to review the results.
Okay, and is there a date at which it needs to be completed by? I haven't been.
In the contract, it's in April, right? Is it?
Yeah, we've I can't remember if it's in contract or in practice or both, but we've always targeted the select board having finalized that letter by your second meeting in March, because that way the board that I've been working with for the past year is the one doing the evaluation prior to the board changing over or potentially
Right.
changing over.
So you could have 3 new members in April that would have no idea how Greg was doing.
So as long as the letter is done by that meeting, then there's still a couple weeks for the vice chair, probably in this case, to relay that information to me.
the board does have to, contractually, the board does have to decide on a bonus before that date.
No, the bonus is in
That's in the first quarter,
first quarter of the fiscal year.
correct? Because the evaluation is separate from the bonus discussion.
But we changed that.
Yeah, evaluation and bonus decision are 2 different decisions. Yeah.
Kendall, you've been acting chair for 1.5 meetings now. Do you have thoughts on this?
I'll admit that I thought there might be a follow-up from Kathy as far as the tabulation. I didn't realize that we actually did the tabulation. So I will get on that, I guess.
Okay. I think we should just table this for now, moving forward.
Unless there's something Greg wants to tell us in executive session.
Yeah, it might be helpful, even just for a brief executive session. I don't know what you have. I don't see any of the results of the evaluation until I get a letter, and then it's just the letter with the score and a summary. So if there's information that you were expecting that you don't have, I can relay that to Kathy or ask one of you to reach out directly to Kathy. I think I'd prefer to have that conversation in executive session about what's there or not there or what you're looking for, and be able to follow up that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Kendall, you,
Follow up with Kathy on that.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah,
Great.
this
Kendall, why don't you follow up with
it's
Kathy?
just not easy to read. Okay.
So I think Kendall will follow up with Kathy and
Yeah.
we'll bring it to another
And,
meeting.
and if the board's fine, I will ask Andy for a little help as well.
Moving on to the reading file. Board member comments. Andy.
I did have a discussion with Tracy about this, so she knows I'm going to say this. She was the alternate for the Regional Planning Commission, alternate rep for the Regional Planning Commission. The Regional Planning Commission's charter says that they prefer current or former select board members to be their reps. That has been our practice. It's not a policy, it's a practice to have. And so just raising the question of anybody would be interested in taking on that role as alternate. I'm the primary rep, and there are typically 1 or 2 times a year that I can't make the meeting. And it's once a month. Once a quarter they're in person, or they're preferred in person, but mostly online. And it's largely making decisions about how to spend federal transportation dollars and other funds that go through the Regional Planning Commission. So just want to put that out there. You don't need an answer tonight, but if you'd like to
Thank you.
do that, I guess I don't know, should we let Greg know, or let me know, or what do you?
I can put something on the next agenda if one of you is interested, and it would be an appointment from the
Has to be
board.
an appointment by the select board, yeah. You can't just volunteer.
And if none of you are interested, we can advertise.
I think we should put it on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested.
Any other board member comments? My only comment was I appreciated the update about the salt supply and the detailed memo about that. I'm hopeful that resources open up, we're able to get more, but I appreciate us being safe until then. Ethan!
Make the motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. 4-0.
All right.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.